It's episode 218. I may or may not be dying from like the eighth cold I've had this year. But Dan and Kyle are here to carry on the show. And guys, I don't know if you knew this. Happy May the 4th. This is May the 4th as we record right now. And I am loving so much, not only the shirt that Kyle's wearing, but the coat, jacket. I don't think I've seen this on you before. If I have, I'm sorry, I forget. Tell me about this coat you have.
It's the Hoth Han Solo jacket where he's like, I gotta go save Luke because he's a big pansy and he got lost out in the snow somewhere. And he goes out there in his tauntaun and he's wearing this.
Yes.
Classic. I thought they smell bad on the inside, Actually, he's wearing white. He's wearing this more on the Millennium Falcon and stuff like that as they're escaping. But I always just call it the Hoth wing because it's easier just to say that.
Kyle, it's actually pronounced T-O-N, so.
Don't. Dan, you bringing this into the episode?
I was doing a little at versus, AT joke.
Oh, yeah. You could say both. Good. It's okay.
Yeah, you can do both.
Can you?
You can do
both. You though?
Oh, can and it fits into Chewbacca's thing,
that's pretty rad.
So good. Good.
It's really just cold. It was a happy accident.
I need to increase my...
The shirt was on purpose, the jacket not so much.
I love it, though. And by the way, does it go inside out to, like, a bandolier? What is that? Yeah, the Chewie. Oh, gosh, that's so good. I love it. Yeah. I need to increase my Star Wars merch. All I have right now is the little Stormtrooper on the shelf back there, and then little R2-D2 hanging out with me today on the desk.
I like R2.
It's nice.
But my OG original favorite character. Like that was like my guy.
R2, yeah, he's the best. I just splurged on a few things on. Thank you, China, for making. I don't know how you pronounce. I think it's pronounced Temu. Even though we say Temu all the time in our family.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
Anyway, it's their very cheap shopping site where you get stuff for way too cheap, and you immediately are like, I am supporting some sort of bad
communism,
something. But
you're supporting communism for sure.
But I'm saving $20. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're saving a lot. Yeah, I can get lawn ornaments for 5 cents. Like, this is crazy. Yeah.
So I got all these and you'll start seeing them over time as they arrive. I got some tins of games and Star Wars stuff. I'm gonna start putting along the wall. As you can see right here, I've got a Mario one I got from Dave and Buster's. It's kind of hard to see from a distance, but can you see where it...
I see it, yeah.
So
that's awesome. Slowly, Tim's going to start putting up Chinese propaganda, just ever so slowly, just little...
No, I might start speaking Chinese a little bit and talking about the greatness.
That's just good economically, though, to know Chinese, That's just...
and I'll start talking about the merits of their economy and government, but other than that, no. What, Dan? What are you talking about?
Hey, if you started speaking...
By the way, this episode is brought to you by...
Yeah, by the way,
something Chinese.
Who needs TikTok anymore anyway, right, guys? We got Temu now. We don't need TikTok. You guys can have TikTok, you dumb Americans. Please buy it, actually. That was all part of the plan. Hang on, I got to interrupt her here. Hang on.
To be honest, TikTok is destroying everything because no one has an attention span anymore.
I think TikTok going down is worth all the people going, what am I going to do for a job now, though? I'm like, good.
What am I going to do?
Get a real job. Sorry. Everyone on Earth can't be stars. It's killing our Earth. It's killing us. It's killing it's killing humanity.
One of my least favorite words right now that people use as like, oh, this is my job or whatever is influencer. When I hear that word, I am seething with rage.
Yeah, the only thing I'm influenced to do is maybe kick their ass or something, but that's about as much as I'm influenced to do.
That was a Ron Swanson moment from you right there. I liked that.
Yeah, very much so.
Which Star Wars is the one with the little wizard boy, right?
Technically, yes. Yeah.
That's the answer to all the questions for these big trilogy fantasy sweeping epic series.
Yeah,
that has the little wizard boy
Harry
in it.
Potter, Star Wars. Is that the one with the wizard boy? I mean, it's a little reductive, but
so Ron wasn't wrong. Ron wasn't wrong.
It's the little wizard boy. I forgot he said that. That is really good. All right, so we're gonna kick things off with current gen Battle Square, which is more appropriate than ever because we all just played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and got to revisit now Dan, I've been calling it Golden Saucer, the Gold Saucer section of the game, where you get all these mini games, and you might love them, you might hate them, somewhere in between. I lean towards loving them. I don't love all of them, but I do enjoy most of them.
Yeah, I'm glad all of them exist. but I play a few of
too.
them. Yeah.
So anyway, we're gonna kind of go down that route, and you guys get to decide. I've got 2 games prepped, and we can pick. Both of them will work fine, and the other one can wait till on a future episode. So here's what the signs say as you walk up to them. You guys are at the Gold Sauce. You have to pick based on what the signs say.
Is Red 13 using his dumb voice or his cool voice?
He's still using his cool voice. He hasn't gotten to the dumb voice.
I'm in a better
yet.
mood then already. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, still using the cool voice. So that part's fine. And Dio is standing right beside you, flexing as you make this decision.
Now I'm in a great mood. Yeah, I'm elated. Yeah,
he is flexing so much.
I just had to get into space. Thank you.
You get to decide between name that tune or video game 20 questions, and you guys have to decide. And both of these are going to be great.
Those are both fun. Yeah.
Those are both good time.
So
and we can do the other one on a future episode.
So Kyle and I are having like a bro day. We're like, hey, where do you want to go, dude? Where do you want to go?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, what do you want to spend the next 10 minutes failing at? Music or?
I am pro video game music. I'm assuming video game music, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm a big video game music fan.
I like that too. I think I might do worse at this, but I think that's the one I want to do as well. Video game music.
All right, we're gonna play Name That Tune. So now you guys, since you're on your Final Fantasy VII date, that's how this works, right? Because your relationship has built up.
Okay, sure. Okay. Yeah. Can't wait for the fireworks in that Ferris wheel, man. I'll tell you.
They're beautiful. Beautiful.
So what I'm going to do, and I think I did this last time, is I have an image that I can just screen share that thing. That way you can hear my audio too. I don't think there's a way in Skype yet. I keep looking for it where I can just share audio. And I'm not going to sit here and hold like my phone up to the microphone or something like that. So we'll do a screen share of this picture. Let's see.
I will say whenever I try to screen share, there's that little thing that you can flick that says share computer sound. I wonder if, but it does make you click on something above, right? So
I have to share something visual in order to share my audio as far as I know. Yeah. So
Skype is dumb.
Let me see if this will work. I did it once before and it did. So let's see if this works. Share computer sound. Can you see that?
Yes. Yeah.
I thought it was appropriate for.
I love it.
Is it filling the screen well enough? I can't tell from my. Is it okay?
That's Fig and Dan in his band, man. Come on.
See, I knew you would know the names too. Hang on.
Play that song again.
Do Freebird.
All right, so let me bring over my other window so I can. I know it went away. Just hang on one second. Okay, guys, this is not just any old tunes. These are battle tunes in video games. All right.
Yes.
So, very specifically, this is battle music that you might encounter across a wide variety of games. I won't give you any other hints other than that, unless you really get stuck on one. I do think we're supposed to limit how many seconds we play, but whatever.
15?
We don't monetize these anyway.
Yeah,
so.
I was gonna say, we don't. So I think it's actually fine. Like. I think it basically tells you like, hey, you played this thing, but it usually doesn't say like, we're going to punish you for it. So, I mean, So
we'll do a sample one first that we all know, but this is also to get a good volume gauge, whether or not it's too loud, too quiet, and can we talk over it while still hearing it. All right, so here we go.
Perfect.
Here's the sample one. You guys don't recognize that, do you?
Oh.
I do recognize this.
It might be a smidge loud.
A little too loud?
But it's drowning YouTube. That's how.
I'll put it at halfway.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, it's just loud enough for like people watching to like know what it is, but they still.
All right, let me fast forward a little bit. How's that?
Oh, it's a one-winged angel. Like
right.
There you go.
Yeah.
One-winged angel, indeed.
This is from the Final Fantasy VII remake specifically.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so is that volume okay? Like to hear voices as well at the same time?
It can even be just a little lower, but not too much.
Like a smidge. Another 5%.
Step down.
Let's do it at that level.
Yeah, that's good.
And most of these, since it's battle music, they are going to be pretty loud, so it's good to set this now.
All right. Yeah.
And just let me know if it's too loud, because some of these are from various sources, and they could have their gains set.
Right.
Who knows what. So just let me know. All right, guys, here we go. The first one. Let's see if this rings a bell.
Kyle. Got a point.
Oh, I know this.
It sounds so familiar, but like it's not actually coming right to my mind.
This actually looks like something these guys in the Star Wars band would be playing. Actually, now that I'm hearing it, sounds like the noise.
Is it a Mega Man game?
No, but you're kind of on the right track with like the era.
I know this song.
I know this song.
I know this song.
I have memories that aren't coming to the surface, but they're like, oh.
It's not a game that you typically would think of would have fight music, but this is a boss fight for this game.
It's not
Double Dragon.
Same era, platformer. You're moving super fast.
Oh man.
It's not TMNT Turtles in Time, right?
Nope. Think Speed.
I think Speed.
Sonic
the Hedgehog.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Sonic. Wait, which like
I believe that's the
what level is
original
that?
game boss theme when you
the
first-
boss theme.
Okay.
Yep, it's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah,
All
they're
right.
supposed to come.
I was a Sega boy. I'm mad that it took me like 7 attempts to get there.
But it did activate some core memories, though. Even though
It
you
did. They
didn't
wouldn't.
name it,
They
like,
weren't bubbling up to the surface, but they were
You
like
just
activated.
you all of a sudden transported to holding that controller.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that.
Right.
All right,
I
here we
can
go.
Smell the Mountain Dew.
Well, let me jump ahead on this one a little bit.
The Witcher 3.
That's it. Nailed
Wow,
it,
that was fast.
dude.
I probably put 1,000 hours in this game, man.
If you're a monster and you hear that lady start singing "lay, lay, 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 lay," get out of there. Get out of there. Yeah, because Geralt is about to slice you up. The
Yeah.
silver sword is out, and you're in trouble.
Awesome. What a great. It's one of my favorite like battle
Dude,
songs ever.
so
Never got
iconic.
tired of it. You
That
know.
music is so iconic. All right, here we go. Speaking of iconic,
Wow. Well, Chrono.
Chrono Trigger.
Oh,
Very
so,
good.
okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I can actually hear the
Oh,
cursor.
I would have got it right there though.
Yeah,
It is very good. Very
yeah, really good tunes. All right, guys, it's time to get pumped up.
Oh shit. Ah yeah. Dude.
Oh, of course.
This is absolutely Doom, dude.
Yeah, nice.
Ripping apart so many demons right now. Ugh.
Man.
It's called Rip and Tear, by the way. folks. That's-
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
So they had Doomslayer as like a skin for Fortnite, and that song is an unlockable song to just have in the menus, and that's been the entire time what I've had anytime I play
Nice.
Fortnite for like the last like year and a half. Like
that's amazing.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is gorgeous music right here.
Okay, hold on.
I
know what it is. It's Octopath Traveler 2.
Octopath
Is it
Traveler
Octopath?
2.
Yeah. I was just like,
Dude,
yeah.
listen how good this is.
Dude,
This whole soundtrack is incredible.
yes.
This is like better than
1000%.
most movie scores.
It's
unreal.
It's up there in like one of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time. Like if I had to
Unbelievable.
figure out how
And
to
it's so
make that
new.
list
It
of
was just a year ago, right? This came out. It's like,
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Holy
Yeah.
crap.
Everybody
It's
needs to play that
iconic.
game.
yeah.
Everybody needs to play.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. I know this too.
Something Sega.
Think of doing a lot of like dances like this while destroying things.
What the hell is this? I know this.
There's no men involved.
But it's a Sega. Something Sega.
What'd you say?
If it's something Sega.
No, it's technically it's not on the Sega console though. No. Pretty sure they published one of these. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Yeah,
I know the song.
It involves
Oh,
the more powerful you get, the less your body is clothed.
wait, what?
For real.
More powerful.
The more
you get.
power
Oh,
vector-
Bayonetta.
Bayonetta.
Of course, yeah. The jazz I should have been able to pick up on.
Hey. Haven't played enough Bayonetta.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's what that means. Yeah.
That's exactly what that means. That was a little louder. My bad. There we go.
I mean, this is Final Fantasy something.
Which one though?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
It's Final Fantasy 15.
Close.
Oh,
16.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking
Yeah.
of a different song. It sounds somewhat similar.
Final Fantasy 16. All right, here we go. Moving on to the next one here. This is a bop.
Good bops. Man,
I mean,
it's really good.
It feels like I'm like hung up on Yakuza or Persona right now.
You are not far off. Go with your gut, man.
Is it Yakuza?
That's exactly what it is. You know,
Okay, yeah.
It's Like a Dragon.
Nice. Okay. Nice.
Dude, that's a banger.
Isn't it? What a great song.
That's a great one. Yeah. Is that this year's Like a Dragon?
No, that was the 2019 one.
Okay.
2020.
Gotcha, yeah.
What year was that one? Was it 2020?
I think it was end of 2019.
Dude, there are
maybe.
so many Yakuza games. They pump
It's
those
the Like a Dragon.
And
The
they
first Like a
all
Dragon.
have like, and that's like not as guitar-y, which is why I got stuck on it. Like usually like Yakuza is like guitar riffs, you know. So I was like, maybe it's Persona. Persona.
There's Persona 5.
Yeah,
There it is.
Persona.
Again, like, why is this music so incredible?
It's very iconic.
Yeah.
So
This
good.
guy who makes this music is outstanding.
So good. All right. Now, if I were the one guessing this, someone would have been like, all right, this one's for Tim. And I would have put this one on. We all fought this boss together.
It's something from Valheim.
Yes, it is. It's Eiyuden.
Oh, okay. Wow, I don't remember a
This song is great.
Song.
Yeah, I don't remember this song.
Yeah,
at all.
when you
going
summon
that
when you summon that lightning deer, it goes. It's like, wait, where did the metal music come from? Like, what is happening?
Yeah,
right
that's
now?
I don't remember it going that hard.
It does go really hard. Yep. Here we go. Activating some memories here.
Oh, I mean, Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, dude.
Let the whole thing play. Let's do it. Let the whole thing go.
I can hear the shell going. Ding, ding. You know what I mean? I can hear the little like sound effects in my head.
Yep.
I think Nintendo's knocking at my door. We've already played this for too long.
I know. Yeah,
They're like,
dude, they're suing
gonna get
everybody.
you.
We better watch out. Yeah. Oh, so good. So good. All right, here we go.
So good.
Continue moving down memory lane here.
Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid.
Nailed it.
God.
Now, I could be wrong because it doesn't tell me on the listing here. I think this is the Ocelot Duel.
It's the Ocelot Duel, but I think it might be.
Is it used multiple places?
Either the
maybe?
Ocelot Duel or anytime like the security alert goes off.
Yeah.
It's one of those two.
Okay. It's some kind of like.
It's oh shit, things are gonna hit the fan. Like,
Yeah.
It's great
Because I
music.
think it plays more than just, dude. I know even back then when we weren't quite there with like replicating like strings and stuff like that. He figured out a way to make this like so cinematic.
The difference between music with games like that and Final Fantasy VII and others that were on the discs and what N64 was doing, it was like not even close.
It was so night and day. Yeah, right. Which is so crazy because
even
like
with
Super
the best
Nintendo was the
Nintendo
one
music,
that was.
Mario, Zelda, they had great themes, but like the music quality just sounded different on PlayStation.
But it sucked because Super Nintendo was the one that was known to have like the better music chip, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like for it to be the lesser in the next generation was kind of a whiplash.
Ocarinas was like pretty excellent. Though.
It's gorgeous.
It's excellent, absolutely, yeah. It might be one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. So
yeah.
Does this ring any bells? Maybe not quite as iconic, but it's a game we've all played, but it's maybe not as iconic as the others, just in terms of the music for battles. Lots of pausing to give orders.
Lots of pausing to give orders. XCOM?
Is it Fire Emblem?
No, but then there's action, and you're running around shooting, but then you kind of pause to let.
Mass Effect?
Mass Effect 2. There you go.
Wow! How did I not recognize this? Yeah.
Also great, very cinematic music.
Mass Effect has great cinematic music, but then it also has like the best atmospheric music when you're just like walking around somewhere and it's just like boom, 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 boom. I don't know. They do a really good job of just like owning a vibe.
Yep. Oh, let's see. I might have to pick a different one. Or no, I think I have to just watch this. Yeah, here we go.
How many of these sound so familiar?
This one probably only I've played, now that I'm thinking about it. There's a game very similar to it that just came out that a few of us are in.
Yeah, it's a Suikoden game, but which one?
Suikoden 2. Yeah.
2, okay.
Yeah. That's the battle, just the standard battle theme.
3 is the one I would have caught, but even if you played a song from 3, I would have been like,
I know it, I think.
Yeah, definitely jogging a memory.
Oh,
what is this? This.
What did you say?
Oh, I said Sea Star, but I was saying
Yeah, Sea of Stars.
Oh, it's Sea of Stars. Okay, nice.
That's a good one. All right. Coming close to the end here. A couple more. Talk about...
Oh, this is Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah, scores that go hard, man.
Dude, man, this is like...
Isn't that Fluke?
Man, yeah, this is such... Oh, man. I think about this game all the time.
Dan, your audio is cutting out.
By the time I reached like 70 hours in this game, I still wasn't like annoyed by this song.
Is Dan's audio cutting out for you too, Kyle, when he talks?
A little bit, but only whenever something's playing.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, dude, that's gorgeous. So good. All right, last couple here.
This sounds like a final fight for Streets of Rage.
Ooh, is it?
Is
it Streets of Rage 4?
What'd you say, Dan?
Street Fighter?
Street Fighter. Do you know whose theme it is? Hadouken!
Is it Ryu's?
It's Ryu, yeah. So you can...
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah. Classic. All right, let's see. Video unavailable. Oh, that was going to be a fun one. That's too bad.
Jerks.
All right, so this is the last one. I thought, yeah, here we go. Here's final one. This one's a little tougher, but did it in honor of the date today. So quiet.
I know, the volume is all over the place.
Well, I mean, Jedi Survivor or
Jedi Survivor. Yeah, this is the Dagon Gera boss fight music.
Nice.
That fight is interesting.
Very dramatic.
Like what they're doing there and like what that character is and how it's like set up is like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Man, that game rocked so hard.
So good. Guys, you did really well. I didn't keep track because I was having too much fun listening to the music, so I'm sure we got them all right. Let's just go with that.
We won.
We passed. You win.
Good job, everybody, and good job, Cantina Band. Thanks for helping us out there.
Thanks, fellas.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Hey, well done. Hey, speaking of Star Wars, with it being May the 4th, dude, this is just such an exciting time. Not only are they talking, there's new trailers out, like for Acolyte, for that series that's coming up, but also as I start to look back at all the Star Wars video games, and I just want to go buy all the ones I don't have for whatever reason. I just want to go.
I know they're all on sale right now, so
yeah, even Jedi Survivor.
That Dark Forces remaster, which is just a Doom clone. So, if that's your speed for a game, like that game's awesome. It's gonna probably be a little rough because it's old, but like it looks pretty sharp at that like facelift. I think that's on sale, so you can get that wherever you want.
There's sales all over the place, man. That's a good point. When you guys think of Star Wars video games, especially when you think back to like your earliest ones, where does your mind go? Like, what are the first games you think of?
Oh gosh,
it's pod racing.
Yeah, I mean pod racing. Yeah, I mean like my mind goes to like Rogue Squadron, but like I was kind of like almost in my teens by the time that series was coming out. So it's like I guess what would predate that would be like with the Super Star Wars series. Or
for me, the first one I ever played was Super Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, hard. Those games
really
are
tough.
Well, yeah, you think games are hard today? Those games are so hard.
Yeah. Really tough.
I also like to play. I went over to my buddy's house who had a PC, and we would play X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
Oh man,
that was awesome. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, I never owned that one, but I remember like memories of like going to Walmart and him having the kiosk, and just mom would be going, Mom, I'm gonna go, play the thing. playing some Mario 64, and I remember like seeing the playing that on there because I never owned the pod racing game on the N64, but
so much fun with that pod racing game. You can like purposefully overheat your engines and make them explode. But if you time it just right, you can get across the finish line before you pop your engine. And I remember like me and my friends would be screaming at each other, trying to knock each other's controllers out of their hands, as we're racing. It was, and that's not a good game, It's just you had Star Wars fever, so you just wanted to play anything with Star Wars paint on it. So
that's right. Yeah, that was a big one. I think when I think of ones that as like my backlog hall of shame, one of my biggest entries on that, which we need to revisit that again, by the way. That'd be fun to do that.
Yeah.
It's got to be Knights of the Old Republic, which I've only barely dabbled in. I know the story because it's been spoiled many times over, but like I never did dive in and experience it. By the time I wanted to, the game looked and seemed super dated, and I'd always heard about like remakes, and I was like, maybe I'll wait for a remake, and so
it's never gonna happen. Just play it.
That's my Hall of Shame game.
I don't know. They've
and those games I've only played once each. So like for the reverence of Star Wars, for those games that Star Wars fans have, you'd think that I'd be like, BioWare fan who loved Mass Effect. I played those games 1,000 times. Yeah. Like I've really only played them about once. I played them again on the Switch. Too? Yeah, the second one, I've played the first one at least twice because I played the first one again on Switch whenever it came out.
Okay.
The second one, it's classically an unfinished game. I think it's still good. It's just, it's not one that I ever went back and played for whatever reason, but would always want to.
Yep.
Those games are cool. Yeah, you should totally play them. I think they're just good enough where you're like, yeah, it's a little clunky, but like you could get like you love Star Wars enough where I think you could probably forgive a lot of the because it still feels like a Mass Effect game. Like you could see where Mass Effect came from when you're playing this game. They're very kindred spirits in the way that they're like the way that the worlds are set up, the way that the hub areas are set up, like the way that the progression happens, and especially how you're controlling your team. It's very Mass Effect-y in that way. So I mean those are good games to go back to. I wish I did it more, to be honest.
Yeah. I do hope that someday a remaster or revisit of some kind for those games happens. It'd be great. But you never know. And right now, I know the industry is like everyone's getting fired. So who knows what projects are actually happening.
I think my number one Star Wars game ever is probably Shadows of the Empire, though. Like I would love a remaster of that or a remake or something like that. Like just block for block the
Dash
same.
Rendar.
Dash Rendar with the Outrider. You get some really cool space battles. You get some great land battles. That was a straight up
third-person shooter, right? Like there was no.
It was, it's a third-person shooter, so you could like upgrade that where it's cover-based and stuff like that. That game, it would be a nightmare to play today. Like I remember like playing that game back in the day and just being like, oh, the train level was insane, because it's asking you to do all this like really precise platforming, and the game is garbage town, like in terms of its controls, So
I also hated the whole cool garbage level. Like everything's brown and muddy, and it's hard to tell where you're supposed to go.
Yeah,
but I still have a very warm place in my heart for that game. Like I love that game.
There's some swoop levels where you get on those like motorbikes. Yeah, it's so cool, man. Yeah, that game rocks, but very dated, very old, and
that's one that I remember.
No one probably knows who owns it.
My brother and I got that as our game for that Christmas because it came out like in December, the year that it came out, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got that game for Christmas, and then I knew the day after Christmas we were all packing up to head to my grandparents for like a week and a half or whatever, and we were like, I don't want to go there. It was like 2 states over. I don't want to go there. We just got this new game, and I remember my brother had at a thrift store had bought this old CRT monitor thing, and so we brought that and our N64 to my grandparents' house and set it up in their basement.
Smuggled it over. Nice.
We played it like all night. Like we loved that game. That was the main game.
It's so fun.
That was the main game that we were playing.
So,
yeah, good times, good memories of that one. I was thinking about like all the genres that Star Wars games have covered. I can't really think of any they haven't done, right? We just talked about Coder. That's a straight up RPG. So they've done the RPG thing.
They've done RTSs in the form of like ships and stuff like that.
Right.
Ship battle games. Yeah.
Battlegrounds was an awesome RTS. It was like StarCraft or Command and Conquer based game. I don't know if you guys ever that one. I think it was called Star Wars Battlegrounds. And then Empires was the same thing. I think those had like some RTS elements. There's pinball, of course. There's a million pinball machines in Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know there's Star Wars puzzle games that usually a puzzle game will just grab the IP and tack it on, like Angry Birds. That counts as a puzzle game, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Sure. I was gonna say, hey, mobile games, huh?
Yeah,
Mobile
yeah.
games.
There's
First
plenty
person
there.
shooters. I never did play the Republic Commando one, but they've got plenty of those. And
Republic
Dark
Commando is
Forces.
so great. Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, and Dark Forces games where had elements. One of them was first person shooter, and then they kind of started to shift through Gentry towards being a Jedi. I can't think of any genres that they didn't cover. They have the MMO covered.
I would love a like and this is kind of RTS, but like I would love an XCOM style game, like with like Republic Commandos or something like that, where you're just doing something. I think that'd be super cool. But yeah. I
like
think we're very spoiled with how much they've covered over the years, especially in the 90s. I feel like there were so many games in the 90s.
Well, it's
of course, plenty of flight simulators.
For how long?
Forever. Yeah, since gaming's been around, there's been Star Wars. So yeah, they've always been making Star Wars games.
Coming up on 50 years, and
it's got to be right. Yeah, 77. I forget when the first one came out.
Yeah, it'll be 50 years. Yeah, they got the flying games covered, racing games covered. Sports.
Everyone remembers Jar Jar's Bombad Racing on the PlayStation 1. We all played it. We all loved it. We're all huge fans.
The best Star Wars character.
Kart racing,
That's right. Yeah, so many classics, and some of those are still considered to be the best of their genre, like Coder by a lot of people, like Rogue Squadron games. Both of those, the first and second one, are considered to be just top tier when it comes to that kind of flying combat.
Why is there nothing like those games anymore? Like it's so crazy to me that like we don't have Rogue Squadron 10 right now. Like it's just those games are so perfect video games.
Yeah. So it got me thinking about like what are some of the best, at least reviewed Star Wars games over time. So I was looking back at them, and we've named most of them already, so none of these are going to surprise you guys. But the one surprise is that tied at that 10th spot with a couple other games is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. That was at 85 on Metacritic. So that one tied. Just below that is stuff like Star Wars Starfighter for the PS2. I never played that one.
Starfighter's good. Sure. Yeah.
There's a few other. Battlefront 2. Great game. Loved that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah.
From 2005. But anyway, so Jedi Survivor is tied at 10th place with where did it go? The Rogue Squadron, the first Rogue Squadron game. So Star Wars Rogue Squadron on the N64. So those both were at 85, along with the MMO, Star Wars: The Old Republic, as well.
Oh, nice. Oh, I love that game.
Dude, I can lose months into that game if I'm not careful. Like
they packed 9 great stories into that game.
It's a problem.
People are all just sleeping on it.
Yeah. Also is in that same range, 85 or 86, depending on which platform you're using, is Coder 2, The Sith Lords. So even though, as Kyle said, it's considered
people
unfinished.
Love that game. Like I love how much people love this game, despite it's such a troubled development. It got a lot of content got cut and left on the cutting room floor. But boy, it's just like the people just love that game still. I love it.
Yep. And then we get into the highest ranked Lego Star Wars, which I believe was Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, but that might have been outshone by the Skywalker Saga. No, that one was lower. I think this one is the highest Lego one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The original trilogy one.
The Lego ones are a big deal.
It was called Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy. Once you start naming games with these weird things and like where does the sequel number go, it gets a little confusing.
Yeah, remember when Mario Advance, the Super Mario Advance 4 was actually Super Mario 3, or something like that. Yeah.
That was so dumb. That was so dumb.
How'd y'all screw this up? Y'all own these things.
Such a mess.
So dumb.
We mentioned pinball. There's so many pinball games, and several of them have been reviewed very highly, like Star Wars Pinball, Balance of the Force.
If I see a Star Wars pinball in an arcade, I have to play it. I don't even play pinball well.
You did it when we did we all hung out a couple months ago. It's like,
I suck at this, but I gotta play it.
Gotta play it. Guys, I have to. I don't even want to right now, but I have to go do this.
Right.
It's an obligation, really. You're obligated.
Angry Birds Star Wars was easily the most popular and was ranked really high with reviews.
I'm really glad that that's on this list and not Battlefront 2. I think that was the right choice.
Me too. Yeah. Angry Birds Star Wars is up there. We talked about the Dark Forces games, Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, which was my first entry into that series with Kyle Katarn and like getting your force powers and like I don't know, that game just felt.
There were some of the best lightsaber battles in the history of the genre to me in that game.
When you're fighting the Reborn,
Yeah.
It's so good, man. What a game. So that one's excellent, but that also has a very confusing naming title because it's It's Jedi Knight Dark Forces, and then Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, and then Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast is a sequel to that one. I'm not kidding. And then
Wait, what?
just
Jedi
then it's just Jedi Knight Jedi Academy with no number.
Yeah, it is still Jedi Knight. You're right. Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of Jedi in there.
It's very confusing, but still some of the most. I went back and played a couple of those, not a couple of years ago maybe, and I was like, this combat is still really fun. Like
it's very fun, especially Academy. Academy had like people to this day still played like on the Xbox like servers online, just in like giant like lightsaber battles or whatever.
Yeah,
people just love that game.
So fun. Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader, which I believe was for the GameCube, right?
So good. Yeah, that's a GameCube one.
Yeah, that one is just considered one of the best flying action games ever, let alone best Star Wars games ever. And then you get Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, which is at a 91 on Metacritic. Is that
the one that just got remastered? Is that one? Or is it the first one?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, I'm trying to read about it here. It says it's available on modern hardware via several sources, but I don't know if it got a remaster or if it's just available. Okay. Not sure. And then last but not least, of course, Coder, Knights of the Old Republic is considered one of the best games of all time, not just best Star Wars game. And that's at a 94 on Metacritic. So yeah.
Shocking.
So surprising. I know. So guys, there's been a lot of good Star Wars games. Don't know if you knew that. And there's been a lot of garbage, but we're going to keep it positive. I decided not to bring up the worst.
So much garbage, Oh my God, there's so many bad ones.
But they're out there. If they're not any of the ones we listed, chances are pretty good they might be one of the worst ones.
Remember the Obi-Wan? Remember the Obi-Wan game on Xbox? Remember that one, guys?
Yeah. Dude, I played a PS1 game that was Episode 1. It was just like
me too. Yeah, or Star Wars Jedi Power Battles. That was like a top-down PS1 one. I actually love that game, but it is awful. It sucks. Yeah.
Not good, but
what was the motion thing on the Xbox? The camera with the motion.
Oh man, the Kinect. Yeah, Star Wars Kinect. Yeah, where Han Solo was dancing. Yeah, shoot me. Shoot me.
Han said the same thing. He was like, just kill me.
Shoot
first. Harrison Ford's like, oh, I didn't get paid enough for this.
Just kill me now. Yeah, I love when there's this Star Wars celebration. There's so much cool stuff that's happening and usually announced, which is great. But I also just like doing stuff like this, where I look back on all the really fun Star Wars stuff. Yeah. Inevitably, every year around this time, I end up firing up something on some hardware that is an older Star Wars game. That happened to me. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before. I dove back into the MMO, the Old Republic, and just started playing.
I think you and I were both playing a little bit of it last year.
And I blamed this Star Wars Celebration thing. I was like, I want to go do that again.
Yeah, there is something, and I didn't do it this year, but there I have had a history of like booting up that MMO while throwing on like the original trilogy and like just playing it around May and just like I don't know why, it's just something that's just like a siren call to me.
It just makes me so happy. It's just a nice escape from everything.
It's like with Fallout. Literally, the Fallout show, just 8 episodes of a show, and you're like, well, I guess I'll go start Fallout now.
Yeah, right. I wanna be in that world a little more. Let me see what my options are here.
That's right. Yeah, it is kind of cool that all of our collective favorite IPs, maybe not all, but a bunch of them, Final Fantasy, Star Wars, Fallout, they're just getting a lot of love across all these different mediums, and it's really cool. And maybe not everything is excellent. I totally get it, but when it hits, like the Fallout show hit, when it hits like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or a lot of these Star Wars games, then it's great, man. And Jedi Survivor, this trilogy that they're hopefully going to complete over the next few years, and the Star Wars Outlaws that's coming out. I mean, there's so much good with Star Wars gaming.
Outlaws is gonna rock so hard.
I can't wait. That game could come out and everyone could be like, it's a 7. I'll be like, it's my game.
Yeah, it's a 10.
Shut your mouth.
You guys just didn't realize it. Yeah.
Yeah, you just didn't. You don't know. It's just because it says Ubisoft. They automatically deduct 1 point because it says Ubisoft.
Well, towers, right? There's towers.
Sure. Yeah. They specifically said there's no towers, and I was like, I would have taken the towers. We haven't had Star Wars towers yet.
No, give me the
towers in. Who cares? Yeah. And shout out to my Star Wars Galaxy MMO character who was a stripper on Tatooine who was just trying to get off world and just could almost never get there.
You actually could become a master dancer, and that was your job.
Yeah, I was a stripper by day, and I made a lot of money. Yeah. I was saving up for a big ship so I could fly off to the stars in the sky.
Kyle, I picked by far the weakest class as far as combat goes. I picked Ranger, which was actually quite helpful in a group when you can set up your tent and heal everybody on that. So Ranger, and you could travel track monsters when you want to go catch a Rancor for a Master Beast Handler or whatever.
Oh, that's
so like
sick.
some of the Ranger skills were really cool, and I actually had strangers would DM me and pay me in-game money to go help them find a monster they wanted to like capture, because the Ranger skills you could track them. That was fun.
But like MMOs aren't like that anymore.
That was
so
like that to me. I got lost in that. It was so fun.
Same here. Yeah.
The combat that I picked, because I thought the guns looked cool. It was Carbineer, and it's by far the weakest one.
You just went by looks.
I was just getting like these pistoliers and the like martial art dudes would come. They just destroy me. It wasn't even hard at all. Like I had
my fighting style was I was bounty hunter, just like I was stripper just because I was, it's hard times. That game's economy was rough.
You got to make a living. We're not here
but it was nice to go out and shoot. Man, I just remember just like how cool it was to like stumble upon like a bunker like in Tatooine and going in there and you could clear it out and like, maybe an ambient mission would pop up or something like that,
Yeah. That game felt dangerous too. Like that game, I legitimately was nervous to go out.
Oh, same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
I have really good memories from that game.
I love that game. Yeah. That's so cool.
And it kept Jedi, the idea of it, and Sith at arm's length. You only heard about it in little bits and pieces of lore. There's always these hints of like, you just got to find this Jedi cube and do this series of missions that only 0.1% of players.
There was like 3 or 4 Jedi running around on the server.
And I kind of loved that. Like part of me was a little jealous. I was like, that's not
It makes it more special.
Makes it really special. And I was like, that's totally fine with me, actually. Like, let me live in this original trilogy Star Wars where Jedi were essentially.
That's what killed the game, is when they changed it so anybody could be a Jedi. Everyone
I wasn't
just stopped
playing
the
by
game.
then, but I heard about
everyone. No one else was either. Yeah, they took away the, I don't know, like how cool that felt. I came across a Jedi like once in that game, and it was just like cool. Like when he ignited his sword, I was like, oh my god! I couldn't believe it because I had never seen one before. Like it was out of control, and he was just standing in the middle of Mos Eisley, and like everybody was like, freaking out and looking at him, and like he was just living it up, and like just in the middle of town, like swinging his sword and stuff like that. It was awesome. It was super cool. That game was awesome.
I had so much fun playing that game, and that was the one time that I was actually I had a good time playing with strangers. It didn't bother me like to play with strangers because of the idea of almost what games like Overwatch have taken on, and plenty of others where you have a class where you really are supporting each other and you all play a role. They did a good job with that, I thought, with that MMO.
I thought so too. Perfect, you were getting paid to do your job in that game, which again, that's not something that MMOs really do anymore. And back then, I was more willing to play with strangers too, because maybe it was the novelty of like, hey, we can all do this together, and that was kind of new.
That was part of it.
But like, I don't know, it just people were friendlier back then, and like because you were all trying to figure out games together, and now it can feel really like elitist and stuff like that. Like, you're just now starting,
Oh, sure.
whatever, I guess Final Fantasy 14 aside, I think that's probably the most welcoming one, it feels like.
Yeah. And I wasn't really, like, I didn't do the thing where we pretended like we were in the universe, but there are plenty of people who just called me Ranger from start to finish of our time playing together. They're like, Ranger, I need your help finding this thing. And I was like, all right.
That's awesome. That's super cool.
Even though my player's name, I forget what it was, like Steve or whatever I named myself. I forget what it was, but
Steve, Steve.
Steve from Star Wars.
Steve from Star Wars, yeah.
Common space.
No, I forget the name, but like, they just call me Ranger, and that just reminded me. I don't know. You felt cool, even though it's super nerdy, super dorky. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was my closest experience to being really into something, because I never got into D&D. That was the closest I got to playing like D&D with other people, where we all had a role and like.
Yeah.
I don't know. We were braving this very dangerous world. I died a lot in that game. I remember
the game was unforgiving, because that's what games were just like that back then.
The Old Republic is it's much more approachable, don't you think? The Old Republic, generally speaking.
Oh, it's so user friendly in a way that Galaxies just never was. Like I remember not even knowing what to do half the times in that game. You just kind of stumbled across stuff.
The Old Republic holds your hand the entire time. You have at least one NPC companion with you if you don't have any.
Yeah, and there's always a waypoint. Like you know exactly where you need to be. Like it's never a secret.
Which is great. Those are all good quality of life things, but there's part of me that's like, oh, I miss Galaxies.
Yeah. If anyone's out there playing on private servers, good. You're the good ones. You're the real ones.
Dude, I love when that happens.
Yeah, same. Like even if it's just 1 or 2 servers, like you just have enough people who are just like, yeah, we're still playing this.
Yeah, because I know Final Fantasy 11 had because that actually is still going like legit, like Square still has. But there are some fan servers of 11, which is pretty cool. Because I know they tend to
like sidestepping like the updates and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they might even have their own stuff in there. Like I remember back in the day, there was like when I first got my PC, and I was like, oh man, I could play all these games, but like I would try to play like the most friggin' Japanese anime, whatever nonsense. Like I remember this, it was an MMO game. It was called Ragnarok Online. It's very cartoony looking, very anime.
That rings a bell.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
had like
Ragnarok,
it had a cute art style to it, but I liked the music in it, and I just thought the combat actually like felt fun for like what it was, because it was new to me and amazing. But yeah,
was it on mobile as well?
I think over time, like because I'm talking like
Ragnarok was like back
ago.
in like the like late 90s too, like just on PC. I'm pretty sure, right?
Like late 90s, early 2000s.
It says like 2001, 2002 in South Korea is when it launched.
Oh, that's okay. Huh.
Somewhere in yeah, you're right. That's like over 20 years ago. Dang.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. But I just
might as well be 90s at that point. It was 1980s.
For whatever reason, I remember that like not being a high schooler while people were playing that, but like time's weird like that.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Actually, I think it'd be fun at some point to go back and revisit, just have an MMO-centric conversation. There's so many fun MMOs to revisit.
Oh, yeah, I could talk about City of Heroes for hours.
City of Heroes, yeah. So we'll do that. We'll set up a segment at some point in the future to revisit MMOs, everything from WoW to what was that one?
EverQuest.
EverQuest. Yeah, EverQuest 2.
EverQuest and Final Fantasy 11, like playing those on PS2 truly felt like you were getting away with something, because like MMOs were these like out of reach PC only things, so like us little console peasants, like when we finally got that stuff, it was like,
dude, did you
really felt like you were getting away with something?
Kyle, especially, did you or your friends that were playing these games together, did you do like, all right, are we doing EverQuest 2 or WoW? Because those were both going to release around the same time, or we're at least building up around this. And I remember like we tried both. We got into EverQuest 2, and then everyone kind of shifted over to WoW as
WoW, everyone got swept up in WoW in a way where like I remember it just not being fair to anything else that came out at that time. Even like City of Heroes, like, which I think is I prefer it over WoW.
I would go play it again right now.
Oh my god, me too. It's like one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time.
And it could look exactly the same as it did.
Oh, I don't even care. I hope it does look that way. Yeah. But like you like the zeitgeist was WoW, like nothing else could really. I remember Lineage and Lineage 2, like all these like other big MMOs that were like happening at that time. Guild Wars, like I know Guild Wars 2 is still kicking around, but like WoW just like swallowed everything up, and like they're the best, but like I think this is
still
peak
going,
Blizzard
Kyle.
We're talking about. What's that?
Yeah.
EverQuest?
EverQuest 2 is still...
I'm sure it is. Sure it is.
Yeah.
They've still released content. That's crazy.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Good for them.
Dude,
same thing. They just you
RuneScape.
find your audience and then you just
RuneScape.
go.
I mean, Fantasy Star is still going,
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna do a segment on this.
I want to talk MMO.
Bring up some of these, like screen share and like look at some of these. This will be a good time. We'll do that. All right. As far as new games this week, not surprising to any of us, there's really nothing of note that is worth highlighting. I am a little bummed just to hear. I'll never play it, never would have, but I'm a little bummed to hear that this Endless Ocean Luminous game for the Switch is apparently really bad.
That sucks, because that series is like really well loved. I think it was a 3DS series, right?
Or it was on the Wii. I know there was on the
Ocean.
Wii.
Okay, so it was on the Wii. Okay, but people love that game, So I think people were really excited for this one.
Yeah, it got really bad reviews, at least critic reviews. I think users might be enjoying it okay. But basically, they're just saying it's super boring and not visually. Of course, it's on the Switch, so not all that impressive visually.
Sure.
So if it's going to be super boring with not a lot happening, not a lot to discover, then at least it should be super pretty. And it's just apparently...
It's a scan video game, I'm pretty sure. So like you're just basically
you're literally
scanning
just
stuff.
Exploring.
Yeah. So like not something that would have ever captured my attention, but like, scan game should look pretty.
I feel like that's a VR type game. Like that's where that
swimming in the ocean. Yeah, I mean that would be terrifying for sure. Depending on like what they can have like swimming up at you, some freaking shark comes up at you in VR. You're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Pass. Never mind. Take it off.
I scream whenever the shark comes at me in Sea of Thieves. I can't even imagine what that's like being in VR. Like,
they always sneak up on me. It's not until I turn around. Right as I'm getting comfortable, like I'm gonna be able to get down into this shipwreck and back out, no problem. And then all of a sudden I turn around and he's right there, like mouth already open.
I refuse to turn around in that game because it freaks me out so much. I'm like, he's right behind me, isn't he? Like a Joss Whedon joke.
That game is stressful for as like lighthearted and colorful everything is. It is a stressful experience.
Yeah.
But a game I do recommend, just based on my original time with it, is Braid. So the anniversary edition is apparently out. I don't know. Let me just check and see if there's user reviews on that to see if this new edition is getting good responses. But the original game I played and liked. Do you guys play that one?
I'm
Right,
too
I
dumb
never
for that.
played that,
I've watched people play that game because it's like
it got
considered
bumped
one of the
back. Never
greats,
mind.
but boy, am I too stupid for a game
May
like
14th.
that.
That's my bad. It's May 14th, so it's not.
Oh, okay.
I thought that
But
was
yeah,
out.
this is obviously like one of the all-time great. I mean, everyone loves this game. This and like Celeste and stuff like that always get talked about like in the
Dude,
highest.
I love Celeste. Like, I don't know why this. I just like, especially. I mean, well, it's a good quality game, but it's just not something that I'm normally like obsessed with. But I don't know. There's just, I don't know if it's like the music too, and just like how
beautiful story. If
how good the precision is of the jumping and everything. But it's just, and also the quick the quick reloading of things is important. Like a game like that, you need to be like you're dead and like basically in a second you're back up.
Yeah, don't skip a beat almost. Yeah.
Every time I played Celeste and died, I always knew I didn't do that part right. I never felt like, dude, this game's detection on whether or not I hit the wall correctly or whatever. I never felt like it was wrong. I always knew like that was me.
What's Braid saying again? Is Braid like about time? Like
it's you can rewind time. So you like move puzzles around and then
yeah.
you rewind it and you use that rewind feature to then in your current time maybe do things new, have new access to new things based on the rewinding that you do. It gets very very complex.
It's very highbrow indie game, yeah.
Yeah, and the hand painted style is very cool. I remember Braid being part of like the Xbox Summer of Arcade type of game.
Remember those times? Oh man, Xbox used to be so cool, guys.
Dude, Summer of Arcade was so fun.
Like, remember when like everyone was obsessed with like Geometry Wars? Like it was the times were just simpler, man.
Explosion Man,
Explosion Man, and Missplosion Man.
And then there was the
Alien Hominid
shooter. Yeah, Alien Hominid. Yeah. There was a side-scrolling shooter.
Castle Crash.
Shadow Complex.
Shadow Complex is great. Yeah, great little Metroidvania. Yeah.
And Castle Crash.
Man,
by the way,
those times
my
are
family
the greatest.
unprompted just started replaying Castle Crash. Just a couple of them.
Oh, really?
Castle Crash is like it might be one of my favorite co-op games of all time. Like it's so easy just to pick up for people, and like I love those style like goofy like beat 'em ups. And it's such a goofy. Beautiful looking game. I love it.
And I'm like, why didn't they make a sequel? And then I look at it, I'm like, they don't need to. Like this, they could, and I would love it. But like, it's all right there. Like it's a perfect game already. It's good.
They've re-put it out like 7 times now. So you don't fix perfection.
Yeah. So Braid is a fun flashback to those kind of early 20 teens. You know, that kind of timeline. There's a game out called Let Bygones Be Bygones. I just highlighted it because the art style alone is so cool. It looks it's got this pixelated style. I think it's an adventure game where you like do a lot of text dialogue stuff. Okay. I don't think it's an action game or anything, but it looks really, really good. Okay. The user reviews on it seem like they're above average, not great, but like 60s, 70s. I think it's mostly performance related, so it's hard to tell how good the game is.
A lot of broken games out lately.
Yeah,
it reminds me of that and it looks like it's going to be more action-y. But what's that? And it has a weird name. That pixelated game that I think they first showed at one of the Xbox presentations.
Oh, Replaced.
Yeah, it reminds me of like that level.
I cannot
of
wait
pixel
for
art.
Replaced.
Yeah, Replaced looks awesome.
Yeah. The reason we don't have that game yet is because of Putin invading Ukraine.
Yeah.
Jerk.
Good job.
Yeah.
Thanks, Putin.
Didn't he not know we were waiting for that game? You know what I mean?
God.
He didn't even bother to ask, you know?
I know, yeah.
Like, hey guys, I'm about to invade. Any games you're waiting on?
Can you not? Yeah.
What a waste of human garbage.
Sorry, that's shouldn't make light of that. Okay, there's a game called Undead Inc. I actually don't remember what this is about, but that one's out. So whatever, we're gonna skip past that one. I played a little bit of Ingression because there's a demo out for that. Speaking of Celeste, it reminds me a bit of that. I'm not gonna say the precision platforming is as good, but it is pretty good. And they introduce this portal element to it really early on, where like if you go into this blue glowing part of the wall, you'll come out of the blue glowing part in a different part of the level, and it starts to get super challenging super fast. Even in the demo, if you watch my gameplay of it, which is on our YouTube channel, I died a lot because it's trial and error, but it's like Dan described. You reload real fast and try again immediately. There's no like downtime, and that's what you need. Like Super Meat Boy, Celeste, these games that require you to be perfect and fast. If you reload me quickly, I'm gonna be okay with dying a lot.
Neon White's a very snappy, like doing things quick,
real quick,
resetting quickly. Yeah.
Yep. So Ingression is pretty cool. I can't vouch for the entire game being great, but it's got this kind of futuristic storyline where there's this mysterious scientist who's helping you, but apparently helped someone like you before, and things didn't go well for that person. So you're flashing back and forth between these two characters, going through these levels. And anyway, it's kind of interesting. So I suggest taking a look if that sounds appealing to you. Very kind of pixelated graphics, but very smooth. The controls are very smooth. And very difficult. It gets hard quick. I think it was like by the third level, I was like, oh, dang, I have to be perfect on this jump. Okay. And then there's a game out called Foundry, which looks a lot like Satisfactory and those other kind of automation, build your own, thing on this colorful planet. And you have conveyor belts going to these different units as you collect resources. And if you like Factorio and Satisfactory and those kind of games, Foundry looks like one of those. So other than that, am I missing something big that came out that
No, we're kind of at a quiet time right now.
I think so.
Quiet
Which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me at all. There are other games though in May, so let's preview the month of May real quick. There are other games coming out this month that are certainly notable that we will be talking about on the show. Some of them, to me at least, this is just for me personally, are just updates to games I already love that I've been waiting for, that I can't wait for. One that I don't have a date for, but I am confident it's going to hit literally any day. And that is the Valheim Ashlands update, which is in public test right now, which means as soon as they're comfortable with it and patch it, once they get all the testing stuff done in beta, which anyone could go try. You could go try the Ashlands content now in public test, but I just wait till it goes to public, the main game. That way I can bring my characters over and everything. So anyway, I'm certain that's going to hit this month. They usually only have about a week or two between, maybe 2-3 weeks between. So that's going to hit at some point. We already talked about Endless Ocean Luminous. There's a game out now called Sklash, which has this really cool silhouette art style, like samurai combat, like one-on-one fighting combat. But I played the demo and didn't like the way it played, but I'm also not a fighting game fan. So like, I'm probably not the best person to ask if it's good, but it was only on PC before. It is now on all consoles. Definitely worth looking at just for the art style, because it's kind of a cool
visuals are interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it's like you drew in a notebook and you colored it in. Like it has kind of like a sketch type of look to it. Sketchy Splash.
I'm seeing it now. Yeah.
Splash. Yeah. So it's a unique looking game. It's not my, as some old buddies of ours used to say all the time, a cup of tea, but it is what it is. Sure. It's not my can of Coke. Is that a saying? Can I? No. Okay.
Sure. I'm a Pepsi guy.
Are you really though?
I know.
Okay. All right. I almost lost respect for you a lot.
I drink these kind of drinks too. All right.
Okay. Stewart's. Yeah. Didn't they start with root beer and they've branched out to other things, or cream soda? Probably. Maybe
Stewart's used to. Yeah, Stewart's has a really good root beer. I am a root beer connoisseur, so yeah.
I love some good root beer.
Yeah.
I also really love Not Your Father's root beer. Have you had that?
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah,
that's really good.
Hot take, I guess. I don't like root beer. I think it's gross. Sorry. I think it's just I don't get it.
It is something where I understand it, because after I have a lot of it, I'm kind of done with it. But like,
I feel like people like, and I'm not saying this is what's going on, but like, there's so many different types of root beers. If you go the licoricey, like bitter, and not the creamy, like there's different lanes, And I'm not saying you're gonna. Yeah, there's. If you've had A&W or Barks or any of the regular ones, you hated those. Like you've had all the lanes.
So maybe that's it. Maybe the ones I've tried are more like you're saying, because I don't like
licoricey. That's you're kind of leaning more sarsaparilla, and like it's less root beer, more of a sarsaparilla.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Root beer is like my IP, like my dorky IPA thing. Like I can't drink beer.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
So like I know a lot about root beer.
All right, we're gonna have to do a weekly root beer check-in.
I don't think I could put my finger on it before, but now that you're saying licorice, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe it is kind of.
No,
like
if your root beer tastes like licorice, like that's some people like those. Like me, you're drinking the wrong root beer. Yeah, cream soda is a good way to like. Cream soda is the easiest way to get into root beer without it being root beer at all. Just drink a cream soda. Yeah.
I love it. Especially when you get like the sugarcane cream soda, the really good stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like Jones soda.
Got a good one. Yeah, we got a lot of really good local breweries that do great root beers here in Colorado, because there's so many breweries here. Like all of them do like their own spin on root beer.
Most homes, if you go knock on the door, they're brewing their own something. So yeah, you'll find.
It may not be root beer, but yeah, they're brewing something.
They're brewing something. All right, so Prison Architect 2. I remember playing the first one quite a bit. I actually got hooked on it for a little bit there. Has a fun element of, business management, city building, a little bit of RTS, kind of, but not really, where you have to kind of make sure that the guards are all in the right places when a riot breaks out and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
So it's a fun little city builder business management game where you're upgrading over time. Oh, now you can build a classroom so your inmates can learn these skills, and now you can whatever. Like it's a prison simulator basically, but very cartoony. If you haven't seen it, it's very like little tiny, just like a little circle head on a little triangle body type of a design. So very, very simple. So anyway, Prison Architect 2 is coming out on the 7th. The day after that is where we get back-to-back updates to games, which I'm very excited about. So the first one is V Rising on PC is hitting its 1.0 release, which I got to give them major props. It's been 2 years since they hit early access, and they almost every 5 or 6 months, major update, 1.0. Like it's crazy. Like they just stayed on schedule. They kept putting out huge chunks of a map, tons of new bosses, new features. And people were a little annoyed because for the most part, your save got wiped on the main servers.
Okay.
Because it's early access, and they just couldn't ensure that there's gonna be no bugs from everything you've set up on the previous one.
Yeah. I feel like that's understandable.
I do too. Now, if you have a private server, kind of like you guys were talking about with some MMOs as well, you can skip whatever update and keep going with whatever saves you've got. You don't have to lose your stuff. So I think it's nice that at least gave that option to people, like create your own private server, and you won't be able to do the new content until you're ready to start fresh, but you can keep going if you want. So anyway, the 1.0 comes out, which includes an entirely new area, tons of new bosses. It finishes the quote unquote story of the game, which there is sort of a story to the game. But it is a open world action RPG survival game. You can build your own castle, and it's going to include, on the day that it hits 1.0, you can purchase the Castlevania add-on where you can fight Simon Belmont, who's a hunter trying to kill you.
These games having Castlevania content, like whatchamacallit, Dead Cells. Konami, like, what are you doing? Like,
I know, man.
You know what they're doing.
You know what they're doing. But apparently there's also like, and I don't know exactly how it's being pieced together, but I didn't read too much about it because I want to be surprised. Just like with Valheim, I'm not looking too much into the Ashlands content. I love exploring and discovering it. So but I know there's something with Dracula as, I don't know if it's a final boss or a final level, but like at some point, you, even as a vampire, are going to have to take down Dracula. And so that's kind of cool. They're introducing that on the two. So anyway, that game's awesome. And it is going to finally get controller support, which is crazy to me that an action RPG with the isometric view has really only been super friendly to keyboard and mouse up to this point. I got very used to playing it that way, but it really lends itself well to, Diablo or that type of gameplay with the controller. So controller support is going to arrive. And then it will be on PS5 sometime this year. They didn't give a date for that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. But I'm also excited for the very next day, Vampire Survivors DLC, the Contra DLC called Operation Guns, which is the funniest title.
That's Operation Guns.
Did you guys see the video for this one when they announced it?
I did, yeah.
Is it really dude broy?
It is, and it also almost looks a little bit like because it's Vampire Survivors, so it's not side-scrolling, but the little clips
kind of looked like it, though.
Looked like they introduced some kind of side-scrolling-ish element.
Yeah, it looked like a level now. Yeah.
So it looks like a lot of fun. They're adding a lot more characters and weapons, and that game is just
that's $2 you'll ever spend. Just go buy it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you said Vampire Survivors. Never mind. My head was still stuck in V Rising.
Yeah, V Rising is getting Contra DLC.
Back to back.
That'd be amazing.
Back to back Vampire updates, very different from each other.
But, I did see that though. That looks cool.
Yeah, looks great. By the way, I've talked to a few folks about V Rising. Back to that game real quick, and people have asked, "What's the combat like?" It feels like a super super lightweight Diablo style. It's very fast, and your character moves quick. Lots of dashing, and you move quick, and you have to stay in the shadows, which adds a whole nother element to it. So if it's daytime and you're fighting, it's much harder because you have to fight in trees or by buildings or something, because as soon as you're outside of shadows, you start to glow and crisp and sizzle, and all of a sudden your health will start just depleting because you're a vampire. You can't be in the sun. Right. It's a cool feature because the lighting is constantly moving, the sun's moving, and the shadows are kind of shifting throughout the day.
That's cool.
So it's a cool look, but it is challenging at times. You might start a boss fight at night and it might be super tough, and it takes a long time, and then the morning the sun will come up during the fight. You're like, crap, I didn't finish this fight yet. So now you got to fight in the trees. But
That's pretty cool.
I like all that stuff. It kind of adds to it for me. So anyway,
we will fight in the shade.
See, he was right. Thanks, Michael Fassbender, in your small role before you became a big name actor. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut in PC on May 16th.
Nice.
Don't know that I'll buy it right away, but I certainly am interested in replaying that game. It'd be really fun to have that on PC, play on the Steam Deck. But like most Sony games on PC, I'm going to give it a little bit of space because it usually needs a little bit of space for it to be.
Are you trying to say? Wait a minute, Tim. Are you trying to say that PC games aren't optimized?
I'm so sorry. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Are you trying to say that Sony and PC?
How brave of you!
Very brave. I realize
there aren't issues with PC Steam specific, and Sony. There's never any issues at all.
Yeah, usually Sony launches
Last of Us came out crisp and ready.
Yeah. Horizon, no problem.
I am excited that people are en masse who didn't get to play it get to play maybe one of the greatest games ever made. So that's cool for them.
Game. One of the most cinematic, epic experiences. Not many games in that setting where you get that genre either. That kind of open world action RPG adventure. You don't and stealth. You don't get that.
You got a lot. All the parts were moving and grooving, man. Yeah, so good.
It's gonna be so pretty on the high end.
It's so good. You don't even need a targeting system.
You don't even need it, guys.
You don't even need it.
Jesus Christ.
I was annoyed by it, but I got used to it and really had no problems by the end. I was just flying through it. But like, yeah, at first I certainly was like,
it is interesting.
The people who couldn't get beyond it, though, I'm just like, do you have no adaptability? Like, you have no capability to adapting to something.
No,
like,
of course not.
That says a lot about you, in my opinion.
Yeah, it does.
I agree. By the way, there are some games that have targeting systems that are so garbage. You're like, I'm not even going to use it because this is so non-intuitive. But yeah.
But it worked. It just worked.
It just works. You guys.
Just worked. Yes.
So on the 21st is possibly the most significant game of the month for a lot of folks, and that's Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. Will hit PC and Xbox on May 21st. Now, this game, of course, is been argued about for so long. What do you guys? Maybe we should do a prediction for like the scores. Maybe next week.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Like they said, they're going to talk about this game every day leading up to launch. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh God, please!
We're going to release some new info on this game every day. I'm like, why? People are already annoyed that you keep talking about it before. Just shut up about it and release it.
No more. Please stop.
What do you guys think? Now you want to talk about it.
Regardless of how good it is, it's going to be like people are going to hate on it no matter what, or do you think people are going to give?
I think there are going to be some people who are going to hate on it no matter what, but I think that it's probably going to get the same exact scores that the first one got.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's actually going to be a very similar experience. Relatively brief.
I think it's gonna be. For the first one. I'm telling you, the second I run into a bullshit mirror puzzle, I'm so out. I'm so out on the game. But
Kyle, there's gonna be those.
I know. I'm gonna have to enlist someone to come over and play it so I can watch it like I did the first one.
And you're gonna force your way through it because you want to see the next absolutely wild cutscene with voices all around her and her freaking out.
It's true. Yeah.
Because you're gonna want to see her slowly going mad or whatever is happening. Like it's fascinating. Yeah. And not all that fun at times. Some of it was okay to play.
I like, no, it's not. And when I like its kind of oppressive nature too, of it just being like, oh, this is a kind of a grungy experience, you know?
Yeah, dark. Everything looks wet. I don't know. It's not great, but But I think it'll be a visual knockout. Will it run super smoothly at launch? Who knows? If I had to guess, I'd say no. There's going to be some hiccups, and then it will get cleaned up over time and run just fine.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it's gonna get knocked a bit by critics and users.
Yeah.
For its performance, I just have a feeling performance is gonna be. So that's how every game is that these days.
So the Senua's Sacrifice averaged 81 on Metacritic.
That seems like right to me.
I feel like it might be a little higher because this one just looks like bananas, like visually.
Yeah, and I mean it's gonna be it's art, the experience, the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's high art. You know, in this in this industry.
I think what people will argue the most about is perhaps the controls/combat.
Yeah.
Like which I think was a dock in the first game too.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. So like if that's still like on par for the course, like with the first one, if it's still there, or if it is elevated, then you get points for that. But I'm wondering if people are gonna be like, oh, so like the game is still not fun to play, so you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I get it. And so we'll see. I am still in a positive way looking forward to this game. Some people
I like
are
the
more
studio,
looking,
man.
Yeah,
like I like DMC. I like that Journey
good.
to the West game that they did way back in the day. Like I like the
Enslaved?
studio. Yeah,
Enslaved was great.
I like the
Yeah,
studio
yeah.
so much, so like I'm always gonna be rooting for them, regardless of how many stupid mirror puzzles they put in their dumb games.
Speaking of dumb games, that same day, X Defiant from Ubisoft comes out. I didn't know. There's a few things I didn't know. Number one, I didn't know they were still working on it. I didn't know it wasn't out yet. I didn't know, like,
I feel like I've heard about this game forever.
It's like this.
Tim, you could even say they're a little defiant about not releasing it.
Nice.
I mean, this kind of reminds me of like a game like Crossfire X, where it's like,
I was gonna say this. I thought this was the same thing as Crossfire X, to be honest.
I think it's
like,
a
this
new
is this is that like Chinese like shooter game that everyone plays, except everyone hates it here, like, right? And it's like, no,
I think this is Ubisoft.
Game.
I think X Defiant is
Ubisoft. Yeah, it's completely different game. Yeah.
And I couldn't care less about it. I know it's like online primarily, so I'm kind of like, never mind. Like, I don't know if it's competitive, if it's PvE, PvP, both. I don't know, but I kind of don't care. Like, I'm not even.
You just said a bunch of acronyms that make me mad.
Yeah.
PvP, PvP. It's just all these dumb.
IDC, TTYL,
IPC. How do magnets work? All the good stuff.
All right, let's talk about fun stuff. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is hitting the Switch on the 23rd. So that's pretty cool.
Jolly.
On that same day, the Switch is also getting, along with PC, a really fun sequel, World of Goo 2, which I think that game was so fun. I played a lot of that on the Wii.
It was a launch darling, if I remember correctly. Like everybody owned and played this game at launch.
It's perfect for the Wii because you just point at the screen and kind of like drag where you want the little goo pieces to go and connect, and it's a fun little puzzle game.
Be right back.
And, I like it a lot. So World of Goo 2 comes out that same day. The day after that, we have 33 Immortals, which is from Thunder Lotus, I think is the name of it. They're the Spiritfarer guys, the ones who did.
Oh, I like Spiritfarer.
Jotun and Sundered and a few other.
I remember this trailer now. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the one. It's seemingly random, but I'm sure they'll have a reason for it to be 33. But I think the idea is that when you join a game, you and 33 other players are all playing together, I think.
I think that was the pitch, yeah.
But so it's going to be in early access. I believe it's early access on the 24th. So, and it might be like part of Xbox Game Preview because I saw that it's listed for the Xbox. So I wonder if it's part of like the Game Pass Game Preview.
Okay, yeah.
Program or something. And Kyle, I know you've been waiting for this, but they're finally re-releasing Multiversus.
How much time do we have for me to get on a soapbox about this game?
What the heck?
This game won Fighting Game of the Year 2022, and it's just now coming out.
It's because they took it off. They turned it off.
Year sabbatical. Like after the game launched, they're like, okay.
Like, hey, and then they you know what they did? They tried to act like that was always the plan
for the episode, but fuck this game.
Didn't they tried to act like that was always the plan? They were like, all right, guys, just like we talked about.
I know you all just paid $100 for this game to get all the characters. However, we're gonna make it unplayable for a year. Oh my god, yeah, that's crazy.
They made it sound like, I mean, it honestly had a passive aggressive work email vibe to it, like as if they said, per our previous email, we decided to take it off. Like what?
As the agreement that you agreed to, we are going to take off. Yeah, this game had a lot of goodwill when it originally launched. I hope it has zero goodwill when it relaunches again. I hope no one gives a crap about this game.
I'm surprised that they took it offline the way they did. But hey, it's relaunching on the 28th, so good luck, Multiversus.
In about 3 months, they'll take it back again and be like,
it was like a,
you agreed.
It was a fun game to make fun of because it was so silly, and I was like, what IPs are they using? But people liked it. They were having fun. Like you said, it won awards, and then they're like, all right, cool. Like we talked about, it's going offline. Everyone's like, you never talked about this. You literally didn't.
That was super weird. It was very weird. Because there was a season, there was like a pass and everything for it.
People
like you
bought.
could spend,
I was just saying, like people spend $100 versions on this game, and like.
Right.
Oh my god, yeah, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine how mad people got.
So that's happening.
And it was also, mids. This game was so mids, like in terms of it being like a fighting game, it's like whatever.
They try all these the other games, the Smash Bros clones. They've tried. They've all tried.
Yeah.
And
no one can climb the mountain.
No.
You can't do it.
Some are
Impossible.
decent, right? Some are decent, but like they're not Smash level. I'm sorry, you're just not. Like you're just not.
I actually like the PlayStation one, but
the All-Star Brawl or whatever.
Yeah, I actually thought the game was great. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. No, I didn't dislike it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of PlayStation, I guess they're giving up on exclusivity because Humanity is coming to Xbox.
Oh, the Humanity.
Just kidding. I'm pretty sure that was a independent team that probably signed a year publishing deal with Sony or something like that. I have no idea, but anyway, it's coming to Xbox on the 30th, and then on the 31st is F1 24. It's one of those series that always reviews well. People who love racing love those games, and I'll never play them. But
sorry.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm sure they look great.
I'm sure they're great.
Yeah, they usually.
But they're not for me. So there you go. The month of May has at least a handful of really interesting titles, and those are just ones we know about. I have a feeling there's going to be, a surprise or two in there.
Maybe you didn't bring up Earth Defense Force World Brothers 2, Tim. It was kind of a personal attack. It's fine. I'll get over it. But
per my previous email,
which is really funny because next month we're getting Earth Defense Force 6. So if you're an Earth Defense Force fan, you're about to get 2 gigantic games back to back. Talk about not respecting your time at all.
2 and then 6.
So Earth Defense Force World Brothers 2. World Brothers 2 is the voxel-based cutesy version of it with lots of characters. It's very, very, very fun. And then 6 is like the proper entry in the actual series. Yeah,
that's fun. All right, yeah, those are. I didn't realize those were back-to-back months.
Yeah, I know, isn't that crazy? And that's the 23rd this month. So
right, hey, 23rd is a busy day. Paper Mario, World of Goo 2, and Earth Defense Force World Brothers 2. That's a busy day. All right, so that's all I know of for the month of May. Again, I'm sure there's other things that are going to pop up.
We don't care about System Shock or any of that crap. So yeah,
skipping it. I guess I did skip that one by accident. Whatever. That's coming to consoles. Did
y'all ever play any of those games? I've never actually.
I only played the demo of the remake of System Shock last year or whenever that demo came out. Yeah, it looked really cool, but it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah. I know their pedigree of influence. So
I felt the same way playing that as I felt playing stuff like the Saga Emerald Beyond game. I was like, this feels like garbage to me, but I just think it's just not for me. Like, I don't think it's bad. I just think some people love it.
Saga games are very quirky. They're again, it's a spin-off from Final Fantasy 2, so it's like they took literally stepchild of the early Final Fantasy series, and they were like, let's spin it off into its own thing. It's like, really?
I just couldn't believe I was playing a game on the PC in 2024 that was such a mobile game experience. I was so annoyed. I was like, turn this off. This is so bad. But I just don't think it was for me. And by the way, that's how you listeners can say you don't like something. Not that it's factually bad and you're a dumb person if you don't like it. You could just say, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Then again, there are some things that are just flat out bad. So never mind. I take that all back.
Nah, no, you're right.
All right, guys. There's not a ton of news, but a couple things I thought were interesting, like the Switch 2 hardware details, which sounds like there's some legitimacy to them just based on the source of it. So there's this Chinese company that specializes in making Switch controllers, and it acquired a lot of, as they put it, first-hand information about the Switch 2 because they're making third-party controllers for the system. By the way, some of these rumors, not just these, but like other sources, it's sounding like some are saying, hey, the goal is actually to have it out before holiday this year. It's just had to do with like the production ability to make enough for them to actually launch it. And maybe some of those issues have been solved or they've switched around. I don't know exactly those details. So I'm still expecting this to be a 2025 console.
I think it's going to slip to first quarter next year. Yeah, but
I still, yes, at some point.
Gonna get one regardless. Doesn't matter when it comes out.
And I'm sure I won't be able to get one in the first wave. I've had horrible luck getting first waves of things.
Yeah.
Somehow I got the Switch, but that was, I feel like, at the beginning of this crazy new hardware is impossible to find.
Yeah, and like you could still go to a GameStop and line up. You know what I mean? Like they were still announcing like reservations for Switch like at E3, and hey, we just announced it. You can go to your GameStop right now and reserve. And like I remember running out and like doing it. So.
I also think I got lucky because like the Wii U was such a disaster, just commercially. I won't say that the games were bad, but like commercially a disaster. Yeah. I just don't think. I know the Switch had excitement that started to build, but initially people were kind of like, oh, this, another Wii U type thing. What are they doing? A little bit. There was a little bit of skepticism, and so there was some space where you could grab a console pre-order. So I got one from Best Buy without like any difficulty. So I don't think that's gonna be the case now. I'm gonna have to put all my Twitter notifications on and like follow all
I
the
know
accounts.
we're all gonna be like in chat like, hey, I heard Toys R Us has them, or if they exist anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That'll happen. But anyway, so these Joy-Cons apparently the new controllers, they're going to be larger than the current ones. This is all according to this company that's making third-party controllers, and it's using this technology, this magnetic suction technology, where instead of a click in, it's almost a release on the system itself, where the magnet is either engaged or not, which sounds
is interesting.
Really interesting. So less of that snap, which is very iconic, of course, with their videos and everything they do. So maybe it'll still make a snap sound. You know, I don't know.
But like, that would have to be such a powerful magnet for it to not just come loose, though. Like that seems.
Yeah, I mean, because the snap already unsnaps like right now on the Switch. Like both of my when I'm holding my Switch, like if I jostle them just right, like they can just pop right off. You know, so every Switch I've owned 3 of them now. Like,
apparently it's this this a popular magnetic technology that's used in it's got a lot of uses across all kinds of digital and technology spaces, where you actually engage the magnet or turn it off, and that's how it releases it. So I don't know exactly how it's going to work. Is it a little button on the back? Is it something on the screen? But that's the chatter about it right now, is that when it's attached, it's attached. You can't. It's not like you can pull it off. I think you actually have to.
It's not a refrigerator magnet, like
exactly. At least that's the vibe that I'm seeing. Like, it's not like the letter A on your fridge that you can move around. It also claims that you can still use existing Joy-Cons on the new system wirelessly, even though they won't be able to snap into the system. That way you could still do multiplayer games without needing to buy all the new controllers necessarily.
That's cool. Yeah.
Which gives me hope that you'll be able to also play old games digitally and physical copies of old games.
Well, that's part of the rumors, isn't it? Wasn't that kind of coupled in there?
So. I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've always been pitching this as an iteration, not a reinvention. So
yeah.
I've heard a lot of people saying that it's going to be the docked version is going to be able to support 4K. That seems like a pipe dream.
I feel like you have to. I feel like you have to, though, right?
Yeah. And then the handheld supporting up to 1080p. I think those would be really adequate improvements on that front.
Yeah,
I would, man. I know it's not going to happen, but I would love an OLED screen, like out of the gate. Like, not wait 2 years in. Like, just give us an OLED screen, like right away.
So it makes such a difference. Then again, I have a feeling they could be doing that an LCD again for.
I think they are. I think that was part of the leak schematics, was that it was just going to be LCD, which is fine, but.
Yeah, so apparently there's going to be a third pair of buttons. So you've got your LR shoulder buttons, you've got your ZR buttons, and there's a third pair of buttons. I don't know exactly where those live, but this report talked about how there's another set of some kind of shoulder or back buttons or something. So anyway, there you go. A whole bunch of new little tidbits coming out about the Switch 2. I'm excited for it. Like, I am not looking forward to the stress involved with trying to track down new hardware.
Me too.
At all. But I'm willing to do that work because I'm very excited about getting.
I mean, me too. And like, I like I don't know, like they always got a little thing, you know, like what's the Street Pass thing gonna be? You know, I'm always chasing that high.
They didn't bring that back. How did they not bring that back?
Because Nintendo hates money. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure why they didn't do it.
Them? That was so fun.
Yeah,
they were like, "Hey, is this impacting our sales?" Like, no, everyone's still buying. I'm like, "Yeah, don't do it."
Yeah, don't give them more stuff then if they're already buying it.
Don't do it.
I've lucked out though with the last 3 like console things though. The Switch I got on release, the PS5 and the PS4. I got them.
That's awesome. I've been lucky with everything except for the PS5. Everything else, I figured it out somehow, you know. But like everything, like PS5 was just elusive.
I had to get the bundle though. I did have to get the bundle, but that worked out fine.
Would have been happy to get a bundle.
Yeah, I got an extra controller. I
didn't even try for the PS5, and when I was ready to try, there was still such a shortage. I remember trying several times, both in person at certain stores when they would announce we've got a new wave of them, come wait in line, or an online rush. And eventually I was able to lock one down at Best Buy just randomly.
Best Buy was available.
I hit purchase and it was like, it went through. I was like, oh, it went through.
Yeah.
And then it took like 3 weeks, but then they were like, all right, your PS5 is here. That's cool. Speaking of PS5, Helldivers 2 is making some problems for people. So they apparently, when the game launched, the idea was, because this is published by Sony, you're going to have to create a PlayStation Network account, which is not uncommon, everybody, for a publisher to want you to create an account on their service in order to play their game wherever you're playing it. That being said, that apparently was part of the many network problems, or at least it was contributing to it in some way. They turned that off. They made it optional. You could sync them up, you didn't have to. So a lot of players jumped in. They bought Helldivers, jumped in, no PSN requirement at all. Now there's an announcement that on May 30th, to keep playing, you have to create a PlayStation Network account and connect it. That's where all the upset feelings are coming from.
So did all of those people suddenly forget that? Like, did they just not realize, or maybe they legitimately didn't know? Like, I don't know.
I just, like, I don't get mad when I boot up an Ubisoft game and it's like, you gotta log in. I don't get mad when Rockstar is like, hey, you gotta log into Rockstar
Blizzard
Social Club. I don't get mad when I have log into any game
EA,
and it goes,
Blizzard,
hey, you have to do this real quick. So, like, I get it. We all get mad at different stuff, whatever. But, like, I don't know. Be a big boy and just sign up for it. I don't know what to tell you.
So I'll play devil's advocate, though, because that's what I was saying on Gaston's post. I was like, listen, we're all adults. Like, just be a grown-up. It takes, like, 2 minutes. Like, stop whining like a baby. But I'm seeing then on social media people talking about other countries. There are countries that just you can't create a PSN account. It's only available in, like, was it 69 which, by the way, nice. I think it's like 69 countries or something like that, or regions or whatever. So it's like everybody outside of that bought the game now literally won't be able to. So that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Yeah, it is bullshit, but, like, it's hard to make games for the whole world. You know what I mean? Like, with all the, like, red tape and stuff like that.
They should exclude them from that requirement.
I think they're going to roll this whole thing back. I think they're going to be like, whatever.
I think so too, Kyle. I think it's going to be optional because, so the development team, keep in mind, they're not Sony. They're not owned by Sony. Like, they're their own entity. And they've made it really clear through all these different sources, whether it's one developer who happened to be on Reddit or someone who was on Discord who heard from, they're hearing from many different sources that the development team does not like this. This is Sony pushing this. This is the publisher pushing this.
I think it's going to get rolled back or
and
become
even
optional.
The CEO of Arrowhead, the CEO, he noticed that over 100,000 negative reviews came rolling in on this game. Like, it destroyed their average user score. It went from being mixed on the high end of mixed. It was close to being, like, mostly positive. It was on the high end of mixed because of the struggles they had at the beginning with servers and all that, all the way down to mostly negative. Like, it just plummeted. And that's a huge drop, too, for a game that's this popular. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of people are still playing it, but what's going to happen in 3.5 weeks when this rule kicks in, if it's not rolled back, like Kyle says? So even the CEO said, ouch, right in the review score, which is a great line, right? It hit him right in the score. And he said, I guess it's warranted. Sorry, everyone, for how this all transpired. I hope we'll make it up and regain the trust by providing a continued great gaming experience. I just want to make great games. So he's trying, you could tell he's, like, trying to navigate this without pissing off.
He's been more than communicative during this entire situation. Yeah.
But I think it's also very clear that, like, this is not Arrowhead. This is Sony. And
I mean, this is another bad example. Like, you review bomb, get your feelings out and yada yada, but you're mad at the wrong person. You know what I mean? Like, this is a Sony thing. Like, go review bomb Sony on Yelp. You know, like,
I think they.
Like,
I think they tweeted to, like, contact Sony customer support. Like, I think they literally, like, a day or two in were like, you guys really do need to, like, please communicate, but, like, you guys are coming at us. And I think they literally were like,
you push them to the right avenue. Yeah, they're not making these decisions, so it's I'm never for review bombing. I understand it's just like a reaction for people's emotions and yada yada. And I think it's good that we have a checks and balance of when a game does something bad, we review it poorly, so people are aware, of the landmines, that a developer can put out for people. But, like, this is not that, this is a situation where Sony's being just weird about Sony, and their new foray into PC culture and stuff like that. And they're weird right now. I'm going to say that. Obviously, Sony's making a lot of weird decisions, but, like, they're also new at whatever this is. They're just a few years into this, like, venture. So, like, I don't know. There's enough ponies out there for y'all to have patience to let them figure it out, and they will figure it out at some point. So,
yeah. I'm with you, Kyle. My gut response to it, I think Dan, you said this too, is kind of like, just do it. Just make the account. It's easy. It's free. Just do it. Whatever. But then the more I've thought about it, the way it was rolled back, now being rolled back out as a requirement, the impact it has on people who maybe can't make an account or whatever.
Sure.
Like that sucks. So
I think a good middle ground, aside from just rolling it back completely, would be to just exclude those regions, those countries or whatever that can't make a PSN account. Be like, hey, you don't have to worry about it. Everybody else, if they are insistent on keeping it,
But in a world of like VPNs and stuff like that, I don't know, how does location even work?
Well, I'm just saying, and how many other games can't do this either? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure but this game is so hot right now. Like, it's the one. I'm sure there's so many games that just can't figure out how to like become available in other countries and stuff like that. So, I feel like this is a victim of success type of situation too, where it's like it's a game that's under the microscope. Maybe,
or games like Stellar Blade, where it looks the same everywhere except some countries she's wearing like a dress down to her ankles and like is fat or something.
Did we even really? I don't even think we dove into that. Which I
didn't.
Just real quick though, like what a bunch of dumb idiot nerds, dumb horny idiot nerds. Did you guys see the change.org?
For any listeners, Stellar Blade is the new action game that features models basically that are fighting.
It's a Korean real life model,
sexy video game protagonist, you know.
It's totally new. I've never seen a video game.
It's
weird. It's weird.
But like, so the change.org thing, which by the way, why does that site even exist? That doesn't do anything.
Okay, can I just say that? And someone's gonna come at me and prove me wrong, but a petition has literally never saved anything. So like, stop signing them in the game industry.
I think it might be more like what you said, Kyle. It's for you, the person, right? Like when you do your negative review, you're getting that out.
Yeah. This is another avenue to put your weird emotions about something, you know, and you're gonna have 1,500 people sign this petition. Do you know how many gamers there are? That's not a lot. That's a neighborhood's worth of people like signed this petition. Like, shut up.
But like so you can upload videos now as your like, you know, submission for change.org. Did you guys see any of these at all?
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
No, I don't even know what you're talking. I don't even know this whole controversy.
Anybody listening, I'll link it to you guys in our little chat thing. But like literally a bunch of like cliche like nerd guys like basically videoing themselves pleading for them to not censor the game and being all mad about it, and like it's I hate the word cringy. I hate that fucking word,
but
it's
but
cringy.
This might be appropriate here,
it's cringy. It's so uncomfortable because it's like, guys, she is still half naked, if not more so, with so many of these outfits. Why are you mad?
But the anger's on both sides. There's that, which is so stupid, but I think it's equally stupid the outrage on, you know, the expectations for like I have never in my, how many years have I been playing video games now? Let's say 35 years of playing video games of my life or whatever it's been. I've never once seen a character and been like, that must be what real humans all look like. And if they don't, I'm not going to love them the same. Or like, I've never thought that. I've never seen the huge muscular male characters and thought, boy, am I a lesser man because of that? Like, I've never thought that about male or female characters. It just is what it is. Sometimes the designs look good. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes I roll my eyes and say, well, that's clearly just because some pervs made it. Like, most of us are able to like navigate through this. And so for people to be outraged and not want a game like this to be made is equally annoying and stupid. There's a lot of that.
Sure. It's so crazy to me that there are such extremes on both sides where it's like, I want it, don't censor it, and other people are like, this shouldn't exist. It's sexist, you know. Like
where's her love handles? Love handles are GTFO. It's like, what?
Well, also, like, I'm sorry, but like, there's plenty of avenues to explore on the internet if you're feeling a certain way. Okay, to just get a release. Who's buying a video game?
Exercise is what he's talking about, folks. Keep going.
Yeah, he's getting an exercise.
Who's buying a video game purely on the fact that this character or other characters in a game are dressed sexy or have?
And that's the thing. Doing that? And if you are buying it and that's it, and you're not being, I'm buying it because she's a sexy girl killing stuff. Like, that's okay
Yeah, no, that's fine. But like to talk about
too, but like
to talk about that extra, like I said, that gross horny way, like it's like
no. Yeah, if you're being weird about it, like cut it out, like. Yeah, but like, I mean, I imagine most people are here because it's like it's a Bayonetta style, Nier style, sexy girl, like a beat 'em up type of game or whatever.
But guys, if the combat sucked, wouldn't people ignore it?
And that's the thing, is like we wouldn't be talking about this game unless it was
really
good.
Love this combat.
The combat is amazing in this game.
A lot of people really are loving it, and I know some people don't. That's totally fine, but a lot of people do. That's why it's getting really good reviews, and people are enjoying the game. So if the game really was awful, this would be a non-issue, which is why, to me, everyone's blowing out the big talking points way out of proportion. I think we're talking about a very small fringe percentage of people who care whether or not it's censored. Most people don't care if it's going to be censored or not. They just want the game to be good. Whether or not people care if she is a realistic body type for most females or not, guys, she's based off a real human female. Anyway, but even if they don't like that, that's the new standard or whatever it is, that's a very small percentage of people who are mad on both. Most people just want, like, hey, is the game itself good? Yes or no? No, it's not good. I won't play it. Yes,
people trying to white knight for creativity when it's not really needed, because like it's barely censored. Like it's I guess literally, if you're being very literal, perhaps they censor because they added a bit of lace on her cleavage in one of the outfits, but like it's like barely anything. So again,
and plus games in the West have been classically censored since the dawn of video games in mild to major ways. So it's like this is not new either. This is not part of the woke movement of like censoring like it's always been this way, like Dead or Alive used to get censored before it came over here,
Some haven't released here, right? Haven't some like not even been released here? The Dead or Alive
series? Back in the day we just didn't we used to be like really anti-horny, you know what I mean? We didn't get a lot of those games over here,
Oh, we didn't believe in that.
And the other thing is, like, this game is not like overtly explicit and pornographic. So
not really.
I look at a game like this and I say, well, I'm not likely to buy it. And I'm definitely not gonna be playing it in front of my family if I ever did play it, because I still haven't played even the demo for it. But I'm also not like mad it exists and want it to change or go away. And that's where I don't understand. Like, can't you just ignore it? Or no, you have to have your voice heard and take a stand. You have to change your profile picture. I stand against Stellar Blade or whatever. So I get it.
You're a loser if you do that, by the way. That's so crazy to me. And by the way, Dan brought up white knights. If you're white knighting out there, just FYI, no one's gonna bang you at all.
No.
So just stop it. No one's gonna bang you. So stop white knighting.
Please stop.
Agreed. Totally agree. All right, that is a crazy. The whole stuff around Stellar Blade is just it's just silliness. It's just,
I actually did pick that game up, and I'm actually kind of enjoying it. So
I think I'm pretty deep into it. Yeah.
Are you liking it? Yeah. Fextra Life got me in with, like, it's the closest thing you're ever gonna get to something like Devil May Cry 5 bleeding over with something like a Bloodborne or Sekiro or something like that. So I'm like, oh, that's. The demo, you only get so much, so it's like being told that's like kind of on the horizon became a carrot on the stick for me. So I haven't played too much of it yet. I'm still in a Fallout hole, but I will report back on that one. But
I've heard it's not only fun to play, but I've heard actually the whole like setup, the storyline, and it's actually like it's interesting enough. Like they do a good job telling. I've heard it's interesting and fun.
I'm
to play.
15 hours into it, so
nice.
Dang, that's
awesome.
Nice.
So I'll talk about it when we get to our.
I'll talk about the little I have too.
Well. Good transition. Let's wrap this up with, and it doesn't have to be like, we don't have to wrap it up in 5 minutes or anything. So there's nothing else to talk about other than other things we're playing. Dan, you go first. Let's go right into Stellar Blade and anything else that you're playing or watching for that matter. We didn't talk about anything we were watching. If you have something that you want to highlight, so tell me about Stellar Blade. And do you think? I mean, you've known me for several years now. Do you think Tim would enjoy this game also as part of your?
I mean, if you're into stellar boobies, then so or
that's all the game's about. That's all the game's
about. Yeah. After we just soapbox about how it's not about that, we're like, actually, it's just a game about cleavage,
Yeah. So
it's just like the Mario 64 opening where you just drag and move things around and it boings back into place, like his nose or whatever.
Exactly. You're just stretching her out, exactly. And specifically her boobs and butt. You're stretching both out.
Yeah. What a game.
But it's definitely like a mixture of, and like I was saying when we were talking about the demo, like it has this like nuance of a Souls game, because it's not like she is flipping around at certain moments when she's doing certain moves, but it's not fast and frenetic.
No,
like
there's a weightiness and a purposefulness to it. Yeah.
That
exists like more in a Souls game and less in a Devil May Cry, Nier, yada yada.
But it has that character action essence to it too, of like the upgrade system where you're finding stuff out in the world, collect 3 of this thing and you get more HP or more like of whatever was it beta something to use the special moves or whatever. So like you're kind of picking stuff up that way. Eventually you unlock new moves, and I mean, I guess I don't know how in depth we want to get into it. Like you can get a double jump at some point, which feels very like action platform, like a character action game. Mm-hmm. You eventually unlock the ability to jump higher, so you can maybe get to places you couldn't before.
So is there an element of exploration to this game too?
Well, like parts of it, like a lot of parts are like you're walking straight and just killing stuff, like a Devil May Cry game, and then it opens up into almost Nier Automata-esque.
It has a lot of exploration to it.
Yeah. But like it's segmented. Like I think there's some moments that are one way and some that are others.
Yeah. You basically get on your little ship. You're the guy who like early on like you team up with because right in the first like 10-15 minutes like things like are chaotic and crazy.
Such a good opening. Yeah.
It's great. And the music is like
the music's so good in this game. It's
unbelievable.
It totally blows my mind how good this music is. Yeah.
It's really, really good. I still like Automata's music more.
I don't know if there's like Automata's like the best, like some of the best.
Yeah, music is so good.
But it's very like that though. Like it's very of that nature, of that style.
Absolutely, it's very good. And it's very fitting for what the moments are. But you get to like a desert area pretty early on, and there is a decent amount of exploration there. You can definitely dig into it and find all, like I said, those things to unlock more HP.
A lot of cool treasure chests. Like it's like I feel like it's dense. Like there's a lot of density.
Yeah.
Just stuff you can see and do.
I will say, I think the platforming specifically in of itself is not great. I think it's definitely
like positioning or how the jumps feel or what.
Because she just trying to make like certain jumps and stuff is a little wonky sometimes.
Kind of feels like Ninja Gaiden from like Xbox, where it's like that's not where I told you to jump for you. Because
she kind of has this sort of like momentum to like when she sort of like lands, she doesn't just like land and immediately stop. There's still like a little bit of like her kind of like moving forward.
Not a lot of precision to it.
Mm-hmm. But the combat, I do enjoy it. It's definitely having to learn like the enemies patterns and the different things that they do, but then you get like extra abilities, like I said, like special attacks that do various things. The voice acting is not bad. It's not like amazing, but it's pretty solid for, what is this, a Korean developer?
It's Korean, yeah.
It's their first foray into this type of game, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, what they do, mobile games, I think we talked about before this, right?
I think
so. The fact that they transition from mobile games to something like this is absolutely insane to me, to be honest.
Visually, is fantastic. Like the lighting's really good. The
reflective, not to get creepy, but like on her leather, like the reflective nature on her outfits are just like
absolutely
outstanding.
Some of the different shots between Harley Quinn from the 2 recent Batman games and the one suit looked like boring, and that was a newer game, right? The Suicide Squad game. But the other one, there was like a shininess to it, looked like real leather. That to me looks better in that environment. So that's kind of what I noticed with this one too.
Definitely has different texture. Like the suits kind of have different textures, the different ones you swap between. And the lighting definitely shows that appropriately. Some are more shiny than others and stuff like that. So
seems like there's some cutscenes and story moments in this too, right? Some pretty epic set pieces.
I was gonna say that's another thing about this game that's more action, character action game, is that like there are big moments of just like, oh my god, like Uncharted-y, like huge
love a good set
pieces. Yep. Even in the beginning, it's just kind of like you're watching like the skybox and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, Uncharted, they have such fun
There's always stuff going on, man. It's and so that's another big character action-y type of element to me.
And you're having the conversations with your little crew there. You have a couple people that you interact with, and you speak with them, and there's cutscenes and dialogue. And the side quests I mentioned earlier, but there's side quests too that you can take on. There's like a board that you can get side quests from, or there's just people kind of walking around.
Are you
and you'll
choosing
see
what to say, and does it change anything, or is it like no, there's a set story and you're going one direction?
Yeah, it's a set story. Yeah. But yeah, you can just not do any of that if you don't want to, or you can,
Well, and like there's a color coding too. It's like yellow side quests are kind of more fetch questy, and like blue side quests kind of have more story and world building and stuff like that. So it's like if I like blue side quests, I'm just gonna do those and I'll skip all the yellow ones. Like the game's really approachable in that way too, and how you interact with like its interface. So
yeah. And it's just I like the post-apocalyptic world. It seems like there's something interesting there.
I like all the biblical like stuff. Like I like you have a Bible accurate like angel that's like up in space and stuff like that. And like there's
angel and everything.
Yeah. And it's just like it's the way that like like the angels are like described in the Bible. It's just really cool. And obviously there's like an Adam and Eve story going on and stuff like that. You're in Zion, so.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, are we in the Matrix?
Machines, yeah.
Dude, if somebody doesn't say machines.
Yeah, these machines.
But yeah, literally dude's name is Adam, so like it's very on the nose, but that makes sense. But yeah, it's just the game really is. There's that old dude, what's his name? Oracle. It's not Oracle. It's like Oracle or something.
Oracle.
Oracle. That dude looks super rad with all the wire coming out of the back of his head.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Even the first like alpha that you see that comes down and like it's like a crazy looking. Yeah. It was really cool. The one that like slices up that chick at the right.
Wait, so this game is about Korean models fighting alphas? This is definitely targeted towards a certain. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this game. I mean, I lucked out too. So I traded in Star Wars Jedi Survivor because I finished the game. I was like, well, I finished it. Let me trade it in. Let me get a few bucks.
I'm hurt by that. Keep going.
I know. Very sorry.
Okay. On May the 4th, you're breaking this to me.
I traded in Magician Boy game for Sexy Girl.
Read the room, Dan.
I know, on this holiest of day. So sorry. But like, I don't know if there was like some kind of weird trade-in promo they weren't aware of, or like a glitch. But it was 1650 credit, but it bumped up to like 30 something. I was like, oh, all right, I'll take it. So
Dang.
So I got the game for like $40. So that was pretty nice. That was like a nice little treat. Because I was gonna wait on it. I was just gonna wait, and I was like,
I was gonna wait too. Honestly, yeah. I just bought it earlier this week.
It'll probably be on PS Plus within a year, maybe. It'll be on there at some point, don't you think?
I could.
It could be. Yeah.
I could see that.
Because it's only on PlayStation, right? Like it's.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I could see them doing that.
I mean, no sooner than a year, I would guess. But yeah, they'll do that sometimes. They'll put a game.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough buzz about it. I'm imagining it's selling okay because there's so many people talking.
Once those sales die down, you add it to the library.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
A nice addition
Get that second life to it.
But yeah, I'm legitimately like, so this week I had an impromptu week off because my wife had surgery on Friday. So we took the week off because she needs to do her recovery, obviously. But I took it off too, just to, kind of be here and make sure everything's okay with her. She has next week off too, through short-term disability. So luckily she gets like an extra free week off. I don't, unfortunately, but
you tried. Yeah, so you're like, guys, I need to play more Stellar Blade. Can I stay home?
Yeah, please. Can I just sit here and play video games? I did a lot of like more than I was anticipating because I was enjoying Fallout 4 so much. But then I got Stellar Blade and I was like, wow, I'm actually really enjoying it. Like I've actually played least whatchamacallit, Eiyuden Chronicle. And not because I wasn't enjoying it. I don't know. Stellar Blade was just hitting the right way, and with Fallout 4 as well.
That's happened to me several times this year, right? Rebirth came out, but I was like, I am so in on Banisters right now, which is not a game I thought would capture me like that. So it happens. Like,
God, I gotta go back and play Banisters. I'm so mad at the like growing pile, that's happening right now. Even with like Rise of the, I still want to go back and play a little more Rise of the Ronin. I'm not like in love with that game.
Too.
But, like,
I'm with you. I uninstalled it, but
there is enough samurai goodness going on there where I want to go back. But it's just like, when when is this gonna happen?
Right. But so Tim, I know you've probably been playing more Eiyuden Chronicle. So I did get a little further. I think last time we spoke, I was like the 2 hour or 3 hour mark like you. I think I'm like maybe 6, 7. I got to what's the main character? Noah. I got actually, how far are you?
I'm past that part. You're gonna talk about his village.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I'm like right there. That's the last place that I stopped at.
At the end of that segment or at the beginning of it?
The beginning. So we just got into the village. So I am enjoying the game. I'm still waiting for that like oh shit moment of like something kind of grabbing.
You're at it. Like that village is the moment.
But yeah. Because like there's been a couple of characters that have been like, oh, something in the air is like going on, and I'm like still waiting for that. That's where you start to see
the Game of Thrones-esque political pieces start to move of like.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean it's not that complex. You can see it coming, but it's fun. It's like good RPG story, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was anticipating with a game like this, where you're recruiting that many characters. I anticipated there being war stuff going on and kind of like set pieces and things like that. So I was like waiting for that to happen. So it hadn't hit me yet, getting to that point of the game, so that's why I kind of like was just bouncing more to the other two things. But yeah, again, I'm still surprised. I'm shocked at the quality of the voice acting when it's there for Eiyuden Chronicle. I think it's really good for what this game is. I like the pixel art of the character sprites.
Such a beautiful game. God.
Yeah, backgrounds look great. I like the world map. It's very simple. There's not like really anything going on it, but it feels so old school and traditional. I freaking love it.
It's like a big warm hug.
It is. It reminds me of like a 3DS game almost, and I don't mean that as an insult, but like the map is very simple.
The
but
3DS
clean.
Had some of the greatest RPGs. I know that is the place. Like that is a good reference in my opinion.
But I love that it's there because again, it is my favorite. Like I know like everybody wants everything to just be open world or whatever, but like I miss the PS1 era of like the Final Fantasies and just like you leave the town and then it's just like this kind of like almost like if you were a kid and you had all these like kind of D&D style like little like toys and like a thing that you rolled out like and just laid all these trees around and stuff and you moved your little character around. Like that's what the world map in those games felt like to me. It felt like being a kid having little toys in like this little world that you made up, and I miss that, man. Like I think the last one, the last game that did that was actually kind of more recent. I mean, it's not super recent. Was Ni no Kuni. Ni no Kuni had a world.
Oh, Ni no Kuni did a great job with that. Yeah.
Old school world map.
The
like
first
that.
one, right? Not the second one, right?
They both did.
Yeah, the second one did too. Yeah.
But yeah, it had that old school like world map, like kind of layout, which I really enjoy. Do you have anything to add with the Eiyuden? Because I'm not as far as you, but
I do. Unless you've got other stuff, then I'll jump into.
I was just gonna say Fallout 4 is still fantastic. It's so good. Like it's just so good.
A lot of folks playing the Fallout games right now, which is really cool.
And I've found a couple of. So I pulled up an article just to be like, hey, what are like some of the best weapons in the game? Because I like I've said before, I love finding like that one or two like
the shotgun. You like the shotgun, right?
Yeah. So I found a shotgun.
Terrible shotgun.
Really. Yeah, that was in Fallout 3. Yeah, this one it has like a French name or something. I forget what it is. It's like Le something. But it's a pretty cool shotgun. It's got a lot of kickback on it, so I need to like modify it. And then I found an assault rifle that's pretty badass too. A lot of kickback on that one too. But man, it's just and even doing all like the town stuff, like kind of customizing the town with all the really just dumb looking gross walls, like, you know, building shit that's all like dilapidated and everything. Like I think when I first played it, I wasn't feeling it because I was like, everything just looks dumb and it's not as snappy as like say a Valheim, for example, right? But I think because over the years playing things like Valheim and some other games where, you know, you're doing more of the building stuff, I'm enjoying it more this time around, even if things look pretty. Like it's just still like fun putting the stuff together and building like a wall around like this area and then putting the turrets and stuff and protecting the people in your little town that you found. So Fallout's rad, dude. It's very rad.
Some people just sit there and do the building, like that the community management, whatever that thing is. It's like a town that you rebuild or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I know some folks just spend all their time doing that. They get to that point and then they just do that. That's for me.
And just like finding like I don't know what, like I like to just like play the game mostly legit, but like I do like finding like an exploit or just some random glitch and kind of like doing dumb little things like that. Like I found so when you're customizing a town, Kyle, I don't know if you're into that sort of thing, but you could basically go you can go to like where you can create a wooden shelf and you just go up to like a wall and basically just keep plastering the wooden shelves, like, and it goes on top of each other, so you can really just hit X and just keep, and like it's very slow incremental exp, but you literally could do that, and then you just break them all down, get some of that wood back, and just do it over again, and just keep putting shelves and get free exp, and like that's just a dumb glitch that works.
That's cool. Yeah,
the shelves just plaster on top of each other. So
the old shelf exploit.
Yeah, the old shelf exploit. So I just think stuff like that is just funny, because it's like they probably are like, yeah, that stuff is obviously going to be there, but they don't care.
Just like Skyrim, like there's like almost infinite, like you can just level up forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no cap. I think the game breaks when you get to level like 1,600 or something like that. But yeah,
the game
like
just goes to black screen and says no.
Yeah, it's you get the whatever the you remember when the Donkey Kong screen like gets to the kill screen or whatever, like that's what happens in this game.
Yeah.
It just tells you know what, that's enough. That's
we get it.
It no longer works. It no longer
it
works.
Just doesn't work.
It just doesn't work. Yeah.
But yeah, Fallout's great. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing.
Yeah, I played a good amount of Eiyuden, not a ton, but I am farther than the part that you described. Past that, all these RPGs from the 90s and 2000s had that moment where it's like, let's introduce you to the main characters. Some of them threw in right away, but usually it sets up to a big turning point in the war, or the start of a war, or some conflict moment happens. And so the part you're at now is kind of where that happens. And the fallout from that's pretty fun. And yeah, recruiting characters has been fun. It's reminds me of Suikoden, where there's missable characters. You can there's some that are just side characters in a village that if you don't go talk to them, or talk to them at the right time, they're just not on your team. Or if you don't answer them in the way, they're just not on your team. That's very old school. Whereas like these days, not only do they make you recruit those characters usually, but they make it super obvious. It's a side quest or something really clear. This is not like you have to go back to a village and like go into a house you went into before and like, oh, there's someone new standing here. They weren't here. Like it's. So I understand how it's frustrating for some, but I love it because it takes me right back to playing Suikoden 2.
I wouldn't want it any other way. I like
that's how it is, man.
We all wanted to play Suikoden, so like, make it just like
it encourages exploration. Like you're just kind of double checking around and just being like, is there anything different going on?
I like the idea when you go like in old RPGs, one of my favorite things to do is when you return back to a village, like being like, oh, I'm gonna go to talk to all the NPCs to see like if their dialogue changed. What's new. And this just kind of encourages that. Again, you walk in there and go, hey, that old guy wasn't in this house before.
Right.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep. So there's definitely a good amount of that. I know there's more features to the game that I haven't unlocked yet, other little side things, mini games, cooking, all that kind of stuff, and I haven't gotten to any of that yet, but I am excited for those pieces, because I've already found, you have probably too, like recipes and a few other things I can't use yet that and I think even like some kind of music thing. So there's going to be someone who allows you to listen to music.
That makes sense.
So yeah, there's all those kind of folks that you can if they're named, chances are pretty good they're a character that's going to be important at some point.
Character portrait too.
And character portrait, you're like, that's someone important. Or I'll be able to recruit them later maybe. So yeah, no, but I like the combat a lot. I think at first I was like, I don't know, it's very repetitive, which reminds me of the old games. But I was kind of waiting for that extra hook, and I think I'm starting to find it now. As characters are leveling up, I'm opening up additional rune slots for each of them, so now everyone can equip additional runes, and some of them are just stat boosting, some of them give them a skill, some of them give them magic to use. So now all the characters have a little bit more ebb and flow to how I can use them in combat, which makes it a lot more fun.
The dual attacks too, there's that as well.
Dual attacks are super fun. Nice. And if your relationship with them is high enough, then you unlock a dual attack with them. You know, the inventory system is by far the biggest negative I have at this game.
Yeah.
My inventory filled up real fast because and I don't know if
was there finite inventory?
There's a finite inventory, and it's shared between like your healing items and your equipment and your runes that you're hanging on to. And I'm like, that was a mistake. Like some of these should have been in different categories. Like give me a finite amount for healing at least, because I started to have to get rid of like healing potions and stuff because I wanted to pick up this rune that I found in a chest when I was in a dungeon, nowhere near a place I could sell anything, So that was annoying. But yeah, that reminds me of old school games. You just kind of have to deal with the systems that they have. That is one that I think is legitimate criticism of it. Of like, yeah, their inventory system feels not it feels half baked. Like
I don't mind inventory like management like in a Skyrim or a Bethesda game, but like I don't need it in my old school RPGs.
Like I was very used to RPGs having this almost silly level of never ending.
And that's fine because it's like you just suspend your disbelief because it's a video game, so who cares?
It's one less thing to stress out about. Well, now I'm stressed as I finish this dungeon. Like, I hope they don't drop anything too good because I'm gonna have to get rid of something. So and that's annoying. So I do think that's a legitimate criticism of it.
When you have something weight based, like you said in a Skyrim or a Fallout, like things have actual weight quantities to them. That makes sense. Right. There's a survival element to it. Yep. Also, like, and I know I mentioned the visuals are great. There's the lighting sometimes is like really like way more amazing than it needs to be in this game. Like, like in caves,
fires and candles and stuff, like dance off walls. I'm like, what are you doing? Why did you make
the wetness of the ground in like the cave, like the light, the way it's hitting off of it? Like I'm like, that looks like a legit rock. Like that looks real. Like in this like
these
game
cliffs.
These cliffs look really wet and really shiny. But also too, Tim, if you ever go in like a house, walk by the windows. I don't know if you've actually noticed. Walk by the windows. So like the window, most windows kind of have like the like sort of plus, it's got the wood thing. Like it actually like picks up on that when you, as Noah, when you're walking by it, like you could see it on his character sprite, like the shadow of like that cross thing.
Oh, wow.
It looks really good. Like it's just the way that it beams off of him and he's moving on it. I don't know. It was just like a really random thing, but I walked by. I was like, oh, that's like such a unnecessary attention to detail, but like it looks really cool. So walk by a window. Walk by a window.
I'll do. You know what? I will. I'll start enjoying some more windows in my life.
Yeah, enjoy the windows.
There are so many systems that are just straight out of Suikoden 2 that I'm very familiar with. It's like comfort food. I'm very fine with it, but I can see how others might be like, I don't love that. Like it's feels a little old fashioned, but like to me, that's part of the charm, and I'm it's what I want.
They were going for. That's what they were going for.
Like for example, you don't find or equip new weapons ever in Suikoden 2. You have every character has a weapon. You just upgrade it. You go to the smithy, and over time, different smithies are more powerful, or maybe I don't know if this game will have the ability to like give them a new tool that allows them to go to a new level or what. So far, it's been story based. When I hit a certain story point, he could level them up one level further each, and it just costs money. You just go into the smithy, and he'll just work.
I like that.
And it just upgrades it, and it just gets stronger. And then when you hit certain, at least in Suikoden 2, haven't seen it here yet. When you hit certain benchmarks, every weapon has like if you had a chart that said level 1 through level 100 or whatever, at certain levels for each weapon, there's going to be a name change and a huge jump in its stats at some point.
I almost prefer that. You know what I mean? And sometimes like I think that's so cool because like how often do you watch like Game of Thrones and like every 5 seconds like the main character is like, let me put this sword down and pick up a different sword. Like, no, you have your sword that you love,
it's your weapon.
It's your weapon, like it's so I don't know. It just
even Lord of the Rings, like they have their weapons and those are their
when they upgrade them changing names and like that's super cool to me. I love that.
Yeah, all their weapons have a unique name. It's not just bronze sword or whatever. And I'm not saying that's wrong to have it that way, but it adds to it. Like, and that was very Suikoden. That's exactly how that game worked. You just have to have enough money to. And so when you get a new character, let's say they're a little underleveled, like that was part. Again, for me, that was part of the fun. Is like, all right, let me get their weapon upgraded to the max that I'm able to right now, and then let me put them in a party with 5 absolute beasts, and their levels are just gonna start hopping up and catching up to us. Like this is old school RPG.
Well, it just streamlines it. It streamlines it so you're not, and also like you said with the inventory and the way it's kind of clunky. Like it's not another thing you're having to worry about.
You're not carrying around 6 different swords, taking up space.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, you only have essentially like a helmet slot, a main armor slot, and then like an accessory essentially. So you have almost Mario RPG levels of simplicity when it comes to your equipment.
Yeah.
And then what runes you have equipped for them. Like there's not a lot, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact you have so many characters that and each of them have different abilities, things they can or can't do or whatever. So yeah, it simplified the equipment because it made a lot of complexity with the characters. So you there's pros and cons to that, I think, but I'm very much enjoying it. I think it's an excellent game. It's really pretty. The music is great.
Music's awesome. Yeah.
It's just a really great. How do you pronounce it? Homage. Really homage.
Homage.
To specifically to the Suikoden 2 game. Suikoden 1 in some ways, but really it's Suikoden 2. It's like it's like, hey, let's make that exact game, but we can't make that exact game because of Konami. So let's make it slightly different in every way that we can. I mean, everything from the cheerfulness of your little sidekick character to, you know, a friendship between two main characters that are clearly going to have to be on opposite sides at some point. Like all those pieces, that's all Suikoden 2. Like different scenario, but similar players, and it's really cool. I really like it.
Do you have a favorite character, or like even specifically a side character?
Not yet. I do like. I think sometimes the voice acting feels like they weren't together when they talked about it, like when they did the performances, because it does feel a little stilted. It's not. I mean, and it's not fair because I play stuff like Banishers and Rebirth, where the voice acting is just beautifully directed. It's like a movie. That being said, like I do kind of like Gar's personality, even if his voice acting sometimes makes me go like, that was a little dorky. But like,
see, I think Gar's is like, because he's a werewolf. Like
I like his character a lot. I like his. He's clearly like your guardian / mentor, who's kind of like helping you become a leader, and even at one point, pretty early in the game, kind of pushes you into leadership spot. Very willingly follows you, even though everyone's like, Gar, what do you think? And he's like, he's the one in charge. Like it's just a cool, like it makes him very likable as a character. He's probably one of my favorites. There's a few others. There's this guy who uses a crossbow who has like a Scottish accent. I kind of like him.
Yeah, he's cool. The white mage, the healing chick,
the girl who's got like split personalities.
Dude, she's a lunatic.
Yeah, she'll be like, I'm just happy to be here. I will destroy your whole family. Like she just like flips into this like
I will gouge your eyes out.
Yeah, she flips. So
that's
like
fun.
It's funny to even talk about these like very colorful characters, both in design and in personality. Like I think that's where most of the love and effort went into, was let's create a world and characters that are really interesting and fun. And they've done.
And he voiced everybody. Like that's crazy.
Voiced everybody.
You know?
I know, which is crazy.
I still don't know who the big bad is yet. You meet clearly who's someone who's going to be a bad. Don't know if he's the big bad. In that whole village sequence, you kind of meet a bad. And I'm like, all right, we got ourselves a like straight up just not nice villain. Like that's what I need. Give me one of those, you know. So yeah, I'm very excited to keep playing it. So a couple other games I'll go through quickly. I finished Mini Shoot Adventures. This is this year's Death's Door for me. It's a Zelda-like that only takes like 12 hours to 100%. You could finish the whole game in 6 or 7. It's not super long, but it's got 4 dungeons. It's got a really cool boss rush mode at the end if you want to continue and kind of see the quote unquote real ending. It's really, really good. It's just such a fun game. It's like perfect twin stick shooter gameplay in a exploration Zelda-like world where you have to like get new abilities to access new areas and find the map and go give it to your robot friend who can unlock the map for you. And there's all these secrets and there's lots of optional stuff, but I wanted to do all of it. It was so fun. Very, very Zelda-like, but a twin stick shooter, which is crazy. Like the bullet hell fights when you've got bosses and all these big challenge rooms, it is crazy and so fun. Really, like I'm talking gripping the controller, really intense. And I'm not great at twin stick shooters, but I was able to finish it on normal and didn't die, I don't think, too many times. Like I didn't hit a wall where I was like, man, this is so frustrating. I didn't hit that, which is nice.
Nice. Yeah.
So balanced really well for a game that I think is essentially made by 2 people with some outsourcing help, but primarily made by 2 people. The credits sequence was super short. You know what I mean? When the game finished, I was like, wow. I mean, most of the credits were like thanking supporters and you know, beta testers and stuff. So anyway, Mini Shoot Adventures is so good. And by the way, it's got an 87 average on OpenCritic for a good reason. Like
that's a pretty good score.
It's pretty all right.
The people who are giving it a chance are realizing really quickly, like, oh, this is amazing. Got it. So I would put Death's Door in that same category, like super high quality, really well made Zelda-like game. Halls of Torment looks like a 90s PC game. Kind of reminds me of like the original Diablo or Diablo 2 from screenshots I've seen of it. But it's a Vampire Survivors like this garlic-like thing where you just have waves of enemies like constantly closing in on you. Like it's this claustrophobia thing that's happening in these games. But you're just upgrading and getting more abilities and upgrading your weapons and all that. So it's one of those. I like that. The style choice is definitely a decision that someone made, and I get it. It's not going to work for everyone, but I kind of like the weird, pasty, pixely look that it has. I don't know. I find it.
It's like all of us at our age and a little bit older, growing up with these games, now being game developers, and be like, I want to make my own take on that thing that I grew up in, I loved, you know. And I think there's a place for that, and I appreciate.
I think so
that.
too.
Yeah, I saw there was a game coming out called. I just posted about it in the group. Anyway, it's this kind of adventure sci-fi game, and I'm blanking out on the title of it right now. Something Galaxy. Anyway, it looks like Space Quest. The visuals of it.
Oh, cool, nice.
The humor of it kind of reminds me of a Sierra game a little bit. I don't think it's a point and click game, but the visuals look like that. So anyway, all right. I also played a little bit of Ingression, which I talked about already. Ingression, that's on the channel if you want to go see the opening 20 or so minutes of that. Rusty's Retirement is literally a border game of this little robot, SteamWorld Dig style robot who slowly walks around and does farming on the bottom of your screen while you do other things. And you can kind of point and pick out which seeds you want him to plant next. And you can hire new robots to automatically water things. Like it's like an idle clicking type of a game. And you click the little cog as fast as you can to get more parts that you need to buy stuff. So if you want, you can sit there and click it and just make a ton of money, or you can just kind of let things play out slowly. You can put it on the side or on the bottom of your screen. Super charming, silly little game.
It's like cheap too. Like I know you said it because it's part of a sale, but like even without the sale, it's like what, $10? Not even.
I think it's $6 right now on sale.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's pretty cheap. But yeah, it's just one of those. I don't play a lot of idle. What do they call them? Idle games, right? Isn't that a thing? Idle games.
I think so.
I don't really play a lot of those. But this one was kind of fun, and I was in the mood. I played a little bit of these next two games, and they'll be going up on the channel over the next few weeks. So you'll see. I played the demos for The Land Beneath Us and for RoboBeat. Very different games. The Land Beneath Us is a little bit like, what was that? Into the Breach. Remember, you guys remember this game? Like it would put you in a small little grid, and you could move around. It was kind of like Advanced Wars, sort of, but like quick rounds, you know. So this has a little grid-based system, and every time you move, the other characters move. And but it has a Hades element to it where you're picking a weapon to go into each direction that you might move. You're upgrading that, and then when you die, you have a few permanent improvements, but for the most part, you start your run all over again. So it's a roguelite with kind of this grid-based. Did you ever play that that rhythm game, the dance one? Remember that one where you move in the beat with the music? What was that called? Necrodancer? Wait.
Oh, okay. That sounds familiar.
Right? Yeah. Was it Necrodancer? Anyway.
That sounds about right.
It reminds me of that a little bit too. You're not moving in rhythm here, but just the movement where everything kind of stops until you move again. And anyway, it's interesting. The Land Beneath Us is a very interesting little game. And then RoboBeat. Dan, you'll appreciate the vibe they're going for here. They saw what was that rhythm shooter from last year or 2 years ago?
Oh, Metal Hellsinger?
Yes. They saw Metal Hellsinger and they're like, hey, let's do like a robotic version of that, make it more lighthearted. Let's make it a little bit different and make it very digital style. And so it's got more like digital house music compared to like metal. But they also EDM. Yeah, a little more EDM, a little more pop, like some rock, but like it's definitely not metal.
Yeah.
But the same thing. It has the little thing cursor that's kind of coming in on the beat to kind of give you a guide of when to shoot.
Yep.
So you want to shoot on rhythm, and I'm not great at that, but it is fun when you get it right. And you can upgrade your guns. You can get new guns. You find these cassette tapes, and you can put new music in. And like I know with Metal Hellsinger, it was very designed right where it's like here's the song, and as you successfully play the song, picks up, and the vocals will come in and all that. This is different. Where I didn't notice the song changing too much, whether I shot well or not. So maybe that was there. It just wasn't as noticeable. But I definitely noticed you pick the song, and that changes the tempo of how enemies move, how you move, like everything. So like you actually, I don't know if Metal Hellsinger ever introduced that, but like if you swap your cassette in this game to a slower song, enemies move slower, but also shooting on the beat, you have much fewer shots. So it's like aim a little more.
Yeah, it didn't do that in Metal Hellsinger, but it was if you picked a faster song, then you were moving more frenetically, so it kind of forced you to do that because you're going to the song. But that's an interesting you keep finding these cassettes throughout the levels, and you can switch it to a new song, and that changes the beat that you have to shoot at. So anyway, interesting game, RoboBeat. That'll also be I'm not very good at it, so
15, 20 minutes I put into the demo, it's like watching someone playing, going like, all right, I see what the game is, and I could play it better than that person. You know what I mean? So
hey, you're just getting the message across.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, other than that, I haven't really watched anything new. I've rewatched a few things here and there, but nothing on the TV or movie front that's worth highlighting for me. So Kai, why don't you close this out? What else have you been playing, or anything you've been watching? You want to highlight?
Yeah, it's been boring for someone who hasn't been on for a couple of weeks. I've just really been playing Fallout 4 specifically. And like my goal has been, yeah, right. My goal specifically has been do all the content you never saw before. And boy, I'll tell you, for a guy who put 90 hours in my first like run in this game, I missed so much.
Oh yeah,
like side content and stuff like that. So
absolutely.
I looked up a few videos of like best like side missions in the game and realized I hadn't played most of them. So I found the locations for all of those.
Nice.
Going through all those side quests and stuff like that. I'm maybe halfway through like the actual
feels like DLC to you almost, probably. You're like, this is all.
Yeah, and DLC I've never played either. So whenever I beat the game, I'll get to play all the DLC that I've never played before.
Fahaba?
Yeah.
Fahaba and
Fahaba. Hey,
Nuka-Cola.
Wicked piss over there. They're drinking the Nuka-Colas and getting smashed.
Wastelanders. Yeah, so I'm just really enjoying that, and like, boy, I tell you, that game is just, I'll never really understand why it's got as much hate as it did whenever it came out. Because
I don't know.
Because like I loved it then, playing it now, it's totally reinforcing, why I love it. I've heard a lot of like the game's got bad writing like takes, and I'm like, it's not Shakespeare, but it's by no means bad.
It feels the same to me as the other two. I mean, maybe New Vegas
had like a speaking protagonist. If I had to take a guess at like what people, you know what I mean?
That's
I think
so
people want. I think people just want their story, and they don't want some like whiny dad or mom who's like, I need to find Sean.
I understand that. I never get it. Why? I don't.
I like that they're trying to tell a story personally. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let them talk. It's totally fine. I like the voice actor. You can still be an asshole in this game, so I really don't know what people's like problem is. But like, I don't see those problems now. People are loving this game. I think like suddenly Fallout 4 is like a darling all of a sudden. Like it's which is cool. Good for it. Good for it getting a second thing. And I just wonder if Todd Howard's like, we got to scrap Skyrim 2 so we can get to Fallout 5 like immediately, with all this like hype around the show and everything like that. So
well, they're doing Starfield DLC, so
right,
let's be excited.
Yeah,
Starfield DLC is on the way.
Yeah, it's finally 60 frames per second, but you know what? It's not enough, guys, right? Like you can't turn a bad game good. It just can't happen.
Did you ever do the Silver Shroud?
Yeah, I did that in my first. Thankfully, that's like one of my favorite missions in the game. Yeah,
because I don't know if I did it the first time, but this I just wrapped it up. I was like, that's so good. It's so silly.
Did you answer all your answers in Shroud voice?
Yeah, most of them. Yeah, most of them.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah,
except for the end. I got serious at the end because I was like, all right, no funny business here. We're getting serious.
Yeah, so I couldn't save that guy. Sadly, I didn't have any jet on me, so.
Yeah, I think I had 8 charisma, and then it still wasn't enough, and I had some of that on me, so I boosted my charisma.
Yeah, you got to go in all jacked up on drugs, to win that one. Yeah, well, that game is so excellent. Yeah, you can just like sometimes I'll log on, I'm like, yeah, let me just tinker around in the settlement real quick, and other times it's all about crafting, and I do love how crafting focused this game is. I just absolutely love this game. I think it's so cool, and I'm loving
it for such a short amount of time. Now I have major FOMO with this game.
Yeah,
you guys know what I did because of the Fallout show, which I am back to watching. By the way, I should be finished with it hopefully this weekend, maybe early next week. Excellent. Loving it. It's a super fun show. But I went and I bought. I'm pulling a Dan here. I went back and I bought the old Fallout games because they had like as a combo on CD keys. It was like
awesome.
It was like $4 for 1, 2, and Tactics for the old ones.
Interesting.
And so
those are like pillar PC. Like if you own a PC, like I feel like you have to like own and play those games.
I'm at the very least going to install and fire up each of them. Now, will I actually get hooked on them and want to play them all with you? I don't know, but I want to get a feel for the world and all that stuff because I have every intention of actually giving Fallout 4 a real chance. Because if I'm being
Yeah.
honest, I did not give it a real chance. What was that? 2016 that came out?
Something
Maybe.
like that. Yeah, something like that.
I gave it a
Like
very
9 years.
brief chance, and I was like, I'm not a Fallout guy, and I moved on from it, super quick. But everything I'm hearing about it, all the improvements.
I think, especially after you liking Starfield so much, you going back to
Love
Fallout, you're like, oh, I know all this. Like, all these mechanics feel, like I've played this before, because Starfield is basically
in one
just,
world. You're not going to 1,000 planets,
Well, then never mind. I don't want to play if I can't go to other
Yeah,
planets.
you don't want to load between every single time you go into your ship, out of your ship, into space, out of space.
What is this, No Man's Sky? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm so glad to hear you both talk about it so glowingly. I already knew you guys liked it, but it's just cool to know, like, hey, in 2024, this game not only holds up, but it's still a blast.
It cemented itself. I was just like, I'm a bigger Fallout fan than I thought I was. And that's more thanks to the show, to be honest, than Fallout 4. But like,
the show has got me so interested in exploring that world now, which I wasn't interested in before.
It's such a like that it's more of a like specific interesting vibe than either Elder Scrolls or Starfield is, because Starfield feels like very like Fallout is very tongue-in-cheek, and it always and I felt like that was the hard thing to get right in the show, was like its weird humor, and like the show feels more Fallout than most of the Fallout games, in my opinion.
Dude, I was saying this actually on the last episode, Kyle, like, because it's a TV show and you're not playing a video game where you're walking around for hundreds of hours, you have to focus on the story. So the story here had to be interesting, and like I think it's very interesting, and I like the angle that they're taking with it as you get to the last episode there, and they're kind of like, oh, so this is like the thing that we're looking at here is like, oh, that's a problem.
Boy,
you know what I mean?
the
Like,
amount of revelation. I don't want to get into it. The last episode
it was so cool
awesome,
though.
man.
It was so cool though, because I was like talking to these guys out loud. I was like, I don't know if like in the games that's ever like insinuated that like
no, I feel like we're getting new lore, not retcon lore, just new lore. We're getting more context to stuff.
Very, very cool. I like it a lot. And I hope in the next Fallout game they maybe like put some of that in there, like maybe kind of like a little
Todd Howard said that stuff that they touch on in this game was stuff that he wanted for Fallout 5, and he was almost like, hold on guys, like some of these story beats I want for the game. Like, you can't
wrap it in there. Have these characters even pop up in Fallout 5. And maybe like little, that would be rad. That would be really cool.
That'd be so cool. Yeah.
No, Microsoft should hire all these people that have been laid off across the industry and just build another studio for Todd
just
Howard.
Like they're a Fallout studio.
Make them,
I love that idea. Yeah. Or just outsource. Like, everybody that thinks New Vegas is the best Fallout, give it to somebody else and let somebody else do Fallout. Like that worked before.
Well, they have Obsidian. Now
they do have Obsidian. Obsidian seems busy right now, but
they're a little busy.
Yeah. By the way, is Avowed coming out this year?
It is, for October, I'm pretty sure.
Jeez. Okay.
That's cool.
This game also made this like I want to go back and play like Outer Worlds for a third time too, after like all this like Fallout, Obsidian, New
that
Vegas-y.
had a fun goofiness to it too. That was like
it did that very similar in tone and stuff.
Whereas
like
Starfield felt more serious, and I don't mean that.
Starfield felt very serious. There were funny moments, but like it was a very like serious game to me.
Yeah.
Where Outer Worlds was like not quite Borderlands, but close, and it's silly.
It was, I would call it almost a comedy game with how just silly it was. Not fart comedy like Borderlands, but comedy.
A lot of sarcasm and like wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. A lot of like screw the establishment type of.
I'm glad you're playing more Fallout and digging it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad that something's got my attention right now, so that's been fun. And the only thing I've really watched that's new is that Tales of the Empire that just came out today on Disney. It's kind of a sequel to Tales of the Jedi that came out, which is more about Ahsoka and Count Dooku. Shorts, yeah, six short episodes. This one was about Barriss Offee, and she's the one who like frames Ahsoka. And then that's what like gets her kicked out of like the Jedi Academy and stuff like that. And it's about her like becoming an Inquisitor and stuff like that. Pretty cool. But the better story is the Morgan Elsbeth story, which is the chick from Mandalorian with the the spear or whatever. Bruce Lee's granddaughter, that character, the one that's in Ahsoka, who's like the main bad guy in Ahsoka, and it's about her meeting Thrawn and how they forged their relationship and why they're doing all the things that they're doing. So that backstory was like super awesome. Cool. Yeah, if you have like 3 hours, like that's a really, or maybe even it's like 2. I don't even really know. It was like 6 20-minute episodes. So very, very fun stuff. So that was fun.
That's awesome. Love it. I did forget to mention this before we wrap things up. Oh wait, Kyle, do you have anything else?
That's it. No, that's it.
I forgot to mention, and I already gave it a lot of love last week when Derek was on the show to talk games. No Rest for the Wicked. But I just got to give more props to the Moon Studio devs over there. They're still updating this thing. That No Rest for the Wicked game is really fun. I like it a lot, but it is not ready for prime time yet.
Mm-hmm.
But to their credit, they're fixing all these little corners and rough edges of the game as they go. Like it's getting better by the day. They're already adding more content, new armor, new weapons, and I don't think we're that far from them adding like the next chunk of actual campaign that you can start playing. So I'm very tempted to go and keep playing, keep leveling up and keep playing, but I'm like, you know what? I've got other games like Eiyuden that's got a story that I want to get, I want to see through from point A to point B and like finish that story. Yeah. This game, I have a feeling similar to V Rising because of the state of its development. It's going to reset me at some point, and I'm going to have to go back through and play all the rest of the Wicked. Yeah. So I'm trying to like, you know what? You loved it. You love it. Wait till there's a major content update, then dive back in. Like I put like 25 hours into it. Now give it some space, back away from it for a little bit. So
it's a chunky demo, to
basically,
play.
Yeah. It basically is a demo because it's the first act of the story. You get a good number of bosses. You get an idea of what an end game loop is going to feel like.
Yeah.
Because there's like a sort of a boss rushy type of a mode towards the end that you can access to get much better loot. And I mean, if you like loot, this game's got it. It's got so much good loot.
All that loot. Give me the loot.
Give me all the loot. So anyway, that game is gorgeous. I haven't seen any other games that look like it. It's so unique looking. And but that's no surprise from the people who made Ori, which also was like that spawned. So if you look on Steam, there's so many side-scrolling games that try to look like Ori. Like,
yeah.
All right, first of all, the main character has to glow, right? We all agree. Like, it just made its own genre of games.
Absolutely.
But anyway, forgot to highlight that one. But that's it for us for this week. Next week I think we'll have a couple of new things to talk about, including some major game updates. Like Operation Guns, which I guess is the thing. Whatever. Anyway, but I also have some games that we'll play too. Hopefully, Jeff will be able to rejoin us at some point in the near future. But if you don't already, go check him out on Spotify or wherever else you listen to music. Jeffrey Michael Woodman, he's got some great tunes out, and I think there's going to be more coming. So he's doing some awesome things in the music space. So make sure you give him support there. But he'll be back gaming with us before too long. He won't be able to stay away for too long. But thank you guys for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.